All right, welcome back to the party, everybody. I am your host, Lutch, aka the Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. Everybody hit that like and subscribe. You know I would do it for you. And let's party! Big shout out to the replay gang. Thank you so much for coming back to watch this, even though you missed the live party, guys. That is the best part, so make sure you are here every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, and sometimes whenever I feel like it. So hit that subscribe, ring the bell, and you will never miss an Indian Jesus live party ever again. Let's also say thank you to my6shirt.com, the only place to get your very own The Indian Jesus official merch. More designs coming soon at my6shirt.com. All right. What is going on? We got Soil to Soul in the building. We got Rhett in action. I said, let's go. Let's do it. So as you guys know, we were really pulling for Vivek Ramaswamy in the presidential race of 2024, our year, and we knew that he was never going to get that far. But we definitely hoped that he was going to get further than he did. But unfortunately, he's dropped out of the race. And as he was dropping out, our good friends at the Babylon Bee, I should have, I have it right here. Put out, take me out of it, was put this picture up with Vivek and saying Trump was giving him a prestigious job as the 7-Eleven cashier. And a lot of people did not like it. And so, people have gone back and forth. Is it racist? Is it not? Is it funny? Is it not? But we have a conversation directly between Seth Dillon, CEO of Babylon Bee, and our boy, Vivek Ramaswamy. So let's see what he's got to say. As always, guys, if you can't hear the video, please.
Right, well, it's good to see you again.
It's good to see you again, man.
Yeah, thanks for being here, making the time.
It's good to be back.
Before we get into all of it, I just want to address the elephant in the room. We did make a racist joke at your expense about you working at 7-Eleven.
So we do have a running poll right now. Was this joke racist? Yes or no? We can get into more, but was it racist?
And the internet has informed us that we owe you an apology for that.
Oh, is that right?
And I just want to know, how harmed are you?
I mean, it was devastating, to be honest with you. It crushed me. I think I'm gonna have to go through some therapy for that. But
so in case you didn't see it, yeah, it's Trump promises Vivek an administration position running the White House 7-Eleven.
But I think I'm going to put on a good face today.
You're going to come out on the other side.
Good job.
I'm a survivor.
A survivor. All right. So Soil the Soul says, sure, it was racist. It's also no different than stereotypical low-hanging fruit racist jokes we all heard in the 90s and told each other constantly. Oh, so the Soul's going in. Indians work at 7-Eleven. Black people love fried chicken and watermelon. White people love mac and cheese and think mayo is spicy. Joke is within acceptable limits in that regard, in my opinion. So I agree. I don't think there was anything to be offended by in that joke. Do I think that it was worthy of being front page news? No. I thought it was kind of weak, but the fact that people were getting offended on Vivek's behalf after Vivek said, I'm not offended, cringe.
I think that's what I tweeted. I said, I'm a survivor. It has always irritated me when people use that term to refer to somebody who's on the other side of something that wasn't death. Right. That was in between.
Right.
It actually really always
so dramatic.
It's so dramatic. So that's why I felt like that was the response.
Exactly. It's definitely racist. It's just not offensive. Not everything that is based on race is offensive, but it is racist.
I'm a survivor, I think it was my first reaction.
Yeah.
And you know what, Seth, I am.
Yeah.
I have survived.
Good. I'm glad to know that.
Yeah. I think there's a broader desire, a hunger for sanctimony right now in the moment we live in. We have a hierarchy of holiness. We live in a society of hierarchies. There's the intersectional hierarchy of who's the higher on the victimhood totem pole, and then there's the opposite totem pole based on who's actually more virtuous, based on sanctimony shown to those who may have been in a more oppressed class. And that's just a weird thing going on in our culture more broadly, where people are so eager to be offended that they even lose their anchoring to what they're actually offended about in the first place. It's more the emotion and the serotonin hit that people want to experience from experiencing offense.
Hey, I heard you say something that could possibly be offended, so I'm going to be offended. I'll figure out why later, but you are a horrible person and you owe me an apology. average leftist.
In the same way that someone used to get a serotonin hit from experiencing joy,
Right.
today, I think people actually get that same neurotransmitter experience from being offended. And so it's almost like a form of self-indulgence that I think is going on, not just in this little spat or episode,
Yeah.
but more broadly in our
Well,
culture.
yeah, that
And so, as we can see clearly, the man does not care. There were so many worse things that were said about Vivek Ramaswamy, but in the last year, than hey, he's Indian, he works at 7-Eleven. And it's sad that people will take anything to spin up a narrative, a debate, a whatever. Nothing happened. So, the main, obviously we want to address that, but the main reason why I picked this, because Dana White was on Vivek's Truth podcast, and I was stuck between whether I wanted to do Vivek and Dana or Vivek and Seth Dillon here. But I thought this was a little bit more appropriate because we haven't really, we meaning on this channel, we haven't really covered anything from Vivek since he's dropped out. And I kind of want to see where he's at, and if he's somebody that at this point we're still looking to say, okay, 2028, it's for Vivek. Hey, shout out to Indie Film. Welcome to the party. So people that don't like the Vivek, people that don't like Vivek, people that don't like the Babylon Bee, people that don't like the right and are pretending that this is racist to try to point at the right as being racist. I'm catching what you mean there. That all the people are just taking offense again on Vivek's behalf when he's not even offended. But again, it definitely is racist. It's just not offensive in its racism. So welcome to the party, brother. So the Soul says, I think he's spot on. It's almost a high for these virtue signaling fools to feign offense for someone else who, lo and behold, isn't even offended. Crazy.
more broadly thing goes into the one of the next questions I was going to ask you about this woke moral reasoning that's bleeding even into comedy and how there's rules about punching down. Like that's what you're talking about is the oppressed, oppressor.
Yeah. I kind of anybody who's viewing me as oppressed in any way, I think like my first sentiment is like, you got it all wrong.
Right.
He's like, I'm rich, bitch. I am not oppressed.
Trust me, I'm good.
Right.
I'll handle myself just fine is like my first instinct. I think
it's condescending, isn't it?
It is.
The bigotry of low expectations. Oh, well, I'm white and I have privilege, so I've been told. And you're a different color, so you must not have that privilege. That means I'm better than you, and so I have to, do this, that, the other to make sure that I, as the better person, I level the playing field. That's racism, baby. That's just straight up racism. Hey, we got Bon Zig in the building. Welcome to the party. Been a minute. Glad to see you back, brother. How are you? So the Soul. So when I was growing up, punching down meant you hit someone shorter than you. Yep, I was on the other end of that. Written Action said, remember the wise words. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting things to change. Yep. And if that ain't leftist ideology, I don't know what is.
It is condescending. I almost take it as just like a category error, right? Because then that's a new kind of, you're condescending on me. What do you think? It's just like, you guys are missing the point. Like I don't know how well you followed my life or the last
pretty well
38 years of my life or the last year of my life, but
I Googled you before you showed up.
I'm good. Like I'll punch when I need to punch. Don't worry. I got it covered. And so, I think that there's the subset of people who, again, I think outside of the whole comedy sketch thing and the assault on comedy, which is real and I think is, not to overstate it, but I think dangerous.
I didn't necessarily think about that aspect of it, the assault on comedy. That it's definitely going on, but I usually, when you see somebody getting in trouble for jokes, it's about the specific content of the joke and somebody taking it too far. And I guess what he's saying here is that even people who weren't offended on behalf of Vivek, they were like, oh, well, this fits that category where we can be like, hey, look, they're racist. So let's go with it.
For the future of the country, there was this confounding thing going on where you just have like a base of loyal, loving supporters that are just disappointed as hell to have seen me drop out. And I think a lot of that aired and vented to the surface. But for the rest of the people who say that, oh, you're like punching down on me, I think you're punching up. That's what I know. That's kind of my attitude. And so
Hey, we got Virgil Kane all the way over from Manchester, England. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the party, brother. Good to see you. Yeah, I agree, Bonzig. I think it was lazy as well. I don't think it was a good joke. I don't think it was funny. But like offensive, no. Offensive, no. An Akash joke. I mean Akash Singh from Flagrant. I think I mean I like Akash. I don't know, but I agree. It was definitely definitely a lazy joke, just not offensive. Unless you want to say that I am so offended by how unfunny your joke is. I guess you could say that, but then we're really stretching the definition of offended. Bring back. Apu? Yeah, hell yeah, hell yeah, hell yeah. Bring back Apu. Thank you. Come again.
Yeah, I think as long as people, I think it's a loss of self-confidence in some ways that has caused people to have this sense of offense as a substitute for being confident enough in yourself to know that if somebody's hitting you, I guess maybe I don't know, maybe I'm an egomaniac, but like I don't look at anybody punching down on me. I don't look at myself as being down at all.
Right.
And so somebody was making a joke, it's what it is. It's a joke and we're having fun with it. And so I think if more people had that sense of self-confidence, I think that laughing at yourself is something that probably I need to do more of because it keeps you grounded actually too. And
another great point that you get this offense from people who aren't comfortable in their own skin. So anything that's not positivity thrown at them is like, oh my God, how dare you? Shout out to Animal Instinct in the building. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the party. So do you think RFK would pull more from Trump or from Biden? I think he would pull more from, oh, that's tough. That's tough. Because I mean, the last time I answered this question, it was Trump. But I don't know. I really don't know. I would have to imagine that there's more people who are begrudgingly voting for Biden than there are people begrudgingly voting for Trump. So I think the people who are voting for Trump are happy to vote for Trump, and they would rather not vote than vote for Biden, bring us to where we are. So I would, yeah, I'm with Soda. So I'd say Biden at this point. Welcome to the party, brother. Rhett says, whenever I hear a joke like this, I think of a stand-up, like a stand-up person or like a stand-up comic going up on stage and saying, hey, look, Vivek is now working at 7-Eleven in the White House. Isn't that funny? Exactly.
so that's kind of my experience.
When you call it dangerous, like do you like this problem of humor being treated as harmful?
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about as dangerous? Where
yes.
That
Well,
it's almost like
comedy's
outlawed now.
Yeah, humor being treated as harmful is not dangerous. That's annoying. I think the part that's dangerous is the people who most will abuse the death of comedy or the assault on comedy will be those who actually are in power that are using it to silence dissent, right? I mean, comedy has been a form of accountability as old as the Roman Empire or older, right? People used to make fun.
I mean, comedy is always the canary in the coal mine. It's always comedians who are able to find a way to articulate, hey, we don't like this thing that's going on, or hey, isn't that weird that that's going on? They have an ability to be the canary in the coal mine and kind of show us what issues are on the horizon. Shout out to Guam Tech. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the party, brother. Always good to see you guys. If you have not already, please do me a huge favor. It helps so much when you hit that like button. It takes 2 seconds. It is free and it helps so much. Thank you very much, guys.
Fun of the emperor. In some ways, the emperors who were bothered by that, one of the things they would first do is they would also occasionally criticize or execute the people who are making fun of them. But usually they'll go fix the thing they're actually being made fun of. Right. So like if people are hungry and they're
what would have that angle?
Bored or they're unfulfilled, that's where bread and circuses came from. We're going to respond to what the people are clamoring for in the shortest term sense of the word. And so once you've really eliminated comedy, you've eliminated one of the few mechanisms we have to hold leaders actually accountable. And if you think about the greatest tyrants or autocrats throughout human history, I mean, what they eventually do is they suppress comedic relief. But one of the things that they're most responsive to is actually people who are hitting them at the expense of a joke. Like that actually is a way that you hold people accountable, especially the kinds of people who need to be held accountable. And so the irony is, if you got leaders who are in charge who are able to take a joke, okay, that's fine. It didn't mean much to them, but nor are they going to do something as a consequence of it.
Right.
But if you're actually being hit for your own failure over like 1,000-year, 2,000-year history, it turns out a lot of people, even kings, it actually is one of the things that gets them to act much more than people just having a protest on a street. They're not responsive to that. They'll quell the rebellion, but they're not going to actually get to the heart of it. But if you're actually able to kind of hit or bruise their ego, that gets even autocrats to be able to do something they otherwise wouldn't have done.
Yeah, there's a human aspect of like you said, ego, especially in people who are looking for power, that comedy can cut through all the BS of status and everything. And if you can, a good joke, even if it's not a formulated joke, but you say something funny that has they say there's truth in every joke. That is another great equalizer. Bonzeg said, but left reactions is the main. What are you saying, bro? What would have had a big pharma stereotype angle? And I don't know what this means. Virgil said, here's a British joke. What's the difference between a bad archer and a constipated owl? I don't know. Let us know.
And so if anytime you lose one of the few levers that you have to hold people in power accountable, that's a loss.
Let me get that heart react, Virgil.
For a country. It's a danger for a country.
He said, so what's the difference between a bad archer and a constipated owl? One shoots and can't hit. The other one hoots and can't shit. Good one.
And I think the death of comedy is one of the levers we have to hold people in positions of power accountable for their failures.
I agree with that. Beyond tyranny, though, and the tyrants and holding them accountable, just bad ideas themselves. I talk often about the importance of ridiculing bad ideas and mocking the madness. And sometimes you can't, sometimes refutation isn't enough, and sometimes it's not effective at all, especially when people have abandoned reason on purpose, right? But you can ridicule their bad ideas. Do you see that as a moral imperative, that we have an obligation to ridicule these ideas?
I do, actually. Like, I think, I think that the great philosophers of time, I mean, Tolstoy or whatever, have really backed into via narrative and story what they never could through argument, right? I think argument is one mode of accessing truth, and that's my choice.
Yeah, look at that right there. That would have been a good joke. Something with a working at a pharmacy or at obviously 7-Eleven and a poo is right there. But if you could go one step deeper, and well, he actually is in a big pharma. If you could do that, that would have been it would have been racist, but it would have been funny and it would have been a lot more creative. Now I'm with you. Guanzek said, may the Indian outrage blaze like 1,000 golden suns. Let's do it. Vishnu is an angry god.
Right? I think argument is one mode of accessing truth, and that's my chosen tool of choice.
I thought he was going to say that's my truth. I'm like, please, bro.
Right. But I think that there's higher pay grades than that. I think narrative, I think comedy, I think are ways to back into your instinctual understanding of what's true, even more so than any argument ever will. And I think that there's an increasing percentage of people who are no longer accessible by way of reason to argument as well.
And so when you think about that and you realize that most people aren't, reading dry news, they're not watching, C-SPAN and stuff. They want personalities. And if you think about somebody like Bill Maher, people flock to him because of the entertainment, and the information they get is secondary. That idea of entertainment and mixing it with information and news is a good thing as long as you have that balance.
So if you've lost your faculty of reasoning, but people still need to be persuaded of understanding why a policy or an idea or a leader or whoever is just
make it funny
for them, and reasoning is no longer available as a way to do it, then look, you're working with a more and more limited toolkit. Some of it is storytelling. Some of it's, I think, the death of great movies is something we've lost as well. Not just comedic movies, but like all movies. Very few great movies are made anymore.
What do you mean? The Marvels just came out.
I think because you've narrowed the aperture of how to be able to tell a great story. Like I think right now the moment we live in is super ripe. I said this about a year ago and I stand by it, for like a modern version of an American History X.
Holy shit. I would pay 7 times as much of a ticket to go see a modern version of American History X. My God, I love that movie. This man cannot miss. He cannot miss. Let's just make it funny. Sadly, apparently many comedians have trouble making jokes that are actually funny. I mean, maybe many of them do, but there's certainly plenty who don't have that issue. And the problem is either that they're getting, you know, throttled in, you know, social media algorithms, or they're not getting, you know, seen and going on tour and all that stuff because of the fact that, you know, whether it's vendors or managers or whoever else don't want, you know, the controversial stuff. It's not that there's not people making good jokes out there. There absolutely are people out there making great jokes. The problem is who is going to accept it and actually laugh at it, despite the fact that it might be a little bit offensive. Context that I literally tried posting that comment 5 times, but I had to. Yep. What was it? So yeah, me and Soil were just talking about this on Twitter, the free speech platform. We were talking about the razor wire, and same thing. I tried to post it 5 times, and I'm like, maybe. And I just got rid of the word razor. Fine. They are watching. Shout out to Zippy the Strange. Welcome to the party, sir. Good to see ya.
Or something like relations between, you could talk about race relations or broader relations in the United States. That movie would never get made today, even though it says something about group identity versus individual identity that you couldn't have really gotten to through an argument, but you only get through to the power of narrative. Well, once you lose that, then you lose the ability to reach people with that medium. I would say the same thing goes for comedy, is once you've narrowed the aperture of like what you can find funny, it's no longer a tool that's useful.
There you go. And so what was Rhett just saying is that so many comedians have trouble making jokes that are actually funny within that aperture. Aperture meaning opening. Like, you know, on a camera, they have the aperture setting. How wide does the lens open? So if the aperture, to use his word, is wide, then there's a whole bunch of stuff you can make jokes about. But when you narrow that and all that you're allowed to joke about is here, well, it's a lot more difficult to make something that's actually funny in that context. Here's now suggested comment changes. Oh my God. I'm even not even going to say anything. Oh my God, Zippy.
Anymore in being able to convince people of things. And I think it's sad.
Yeah, it is. Too many no-fly zones. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I was wondering, and I think a lot of other viewers, when we were watching the debates and you're on the stage with these other primary candidates and you guys are going at it with each other, were you ever, like, did you ever feel afraid, like genuinely afraid, that Chris Christie might unhinge his jaws and swallow you whole?
I thought this was a real question. Oh my God. Shout out to Seth Dillon, because he was like, have you ever, you know, oh, that was beautiful. Hey, shout out to Zippy the Strange coming in hot with the gifted membership. And of course, you guys know that every single donation comes with a treat by my co-host, Morty. We are still rocking the salmon recipe, which he loves so much. Thank you. Very, very much, sir. Brad, I thought you were already a member. What happened to that?
I no.
And of course, that makes you the new sponsor of the stream.
No, only because I'm confident that my sprint time would be a little faster than his.
Wait, what? Oh, yeah. I want to get that in full.
And you guys are going at it with each other. Were you ever, like, did you ever feel afraid, like genuinely afraid, that Chris Christie might unhinge his jaws and swallow you whole?
I no, only because I'm confident that my sprint time would be a little faster than his. You know, the funny thing about Chris Christie is it's a little bit different with each of them. I would just sort of pull the curtain back a little bit. I think for him, the whole thing was a shtick, really. Like, I don't think it was that moved by some kind of conviction. There's a lane. He had his shtick, and he stuck to the shtick the whole time. Keep in mind, this was a guy like after Donald Trump's entire first term, like literally was still helping with debate prep, was still a guy who was lobbying for coronavirus funds for pharmaceutical clients in New Jersey. And so, Like he was playing the game. He's like, okay, that game's now over.
Right.
There's a new game to play.
And he failed. And so, as a Jersey resident who lived here while Chris Christie was the governor, it was just amazing to see the first time around when he was all, he was trying to be tough, but also like, I'm with you, Trump. I'm kind of there with you, and trying to play both sides. And Trump saw right through it and threw Christie in the garbage as soon as he became, like not useful anymore. And then you come back again, and now he's like, oh, you're the big tough guy against Trump. And you still lose.
Loser.
Gontek said, low-hanging fruit is still so sweet. Sometimes it is. Sometimes.
And I think largely recognizing that, I viewed the whole thing with him as a kind of comedy. And so we kind of would be like relatively friendly banter, like busting each other's balls off stage as well. But it had like almost like a weirdly, pugnacious but friendly tenor to it. And
did Chris Christie suck you off, bro? Did Chris Christie suck you off, bro?
Beta. I viewed the whole thing as like in his campaign and the whole shtick as like a joke. That kind of
so did we all. Real.
Then you get the other kinds of people. I think Ron and I never really butted heads actually that much anyway in the campaign, but I think that he was never.
Yeah, Ron was too scared to say anything about you. He was too scared. He was too worried about his own goddamn height and his own goddamn heels to be concerned with anything else.
Never fully comfortable either. And anything, I'm not saying anything that wasn't obvious to anybody who was watching this whole race. He just never felt like he was comfortable. Although I think we, probably broke the ice over the course of the campaign a little bit. And then Nikki, I just think is the embodiment of everything that's wrong with corruption in American politics. And that, I think, was earnestly a mutual feeling that we are cut from very different cloths. And
but you're both brown. You're both Indian. I thought that means that you guys would think exactly the same thing all the time. No, that's what the Democrats say, that it works that way.
And the irony of that is, I guess to people of Indian American heritage or whatever, people pointed that out. I think that has little to do with the matter. But we're really almost couldn't have been constitutionally, like genetically wired in different ways. And I think that's not a joke. I think that is, I didn't fear that Chris Christie would swallow me on stage, but I do feel like Nikki Haley might try to like swallow, much of the country.
Oh, Nikki Haley might try to swallow the country. I called it. I knew Ron was definitely more okay with Vivek, considering his reluctance to attack him. I don't really know if that is correlated. I feel like the fact that Vivek is such a sharp-tongued, guy who can spit back, and the fact that Ron was very boxy and what's the word? Just stiff. Like I don't know. I think Ron made a calculated decision to be like, all right, if I fire a shot at the guy who's below me, he's everybody's loving him, but he's lower than me. So if I bring attention to him and he comes back at me and gets one on me, then that makes me look terrible. And I'm already wearing heels. So maybe let's leave the brown guy alone. That's just my speculation. And that goes on to say the only thing Vivek hit Ron was the one with the heels. Yep. Oh. Bonzaic said Nikki Haley is a brown lady. CNN. That's what they care about.
If someone like her is put in a position of power. So it's kind of different dynamics for each of the people on stage.
All right, here's another legitimate question for you.
Okay.
Can you name the most deadliest day in American history?
The deadliest day in American history. I don't know where he's coming from with this question. The most deadly day in American history. What would you guys say? This would be saying, well, Haley was on stage acting for her role as Queen Dictator for the Hillary's Theater Circus. There we go. Bonze, are you saying January 6th, or you think that he's going to say January 6th? I don't know. Let's see.
That question for you.
Okay.
Can you name the most deadliest day in American history?
The most deadly day in American history?
No, the most deadliest.
The most deadliest day?
I didn't even catch that. And now that I think about it, Zippy says 9/11. Now that I think about it, I remember hearing this part, and I didn't think about most deadliest. Gontek said Pfizer rollout day 1. We just don't know we're dead yet. Jesus. All right, that got dark, but let's see.
I said that deliberately.
I was gonna have the first one, but the most deadliest.
The most
I'm not sure I
deadliest.
can. What is it? What's the most deadliest?
Oh, you're not even going to take a guess at it?
What's the most deadliest?
January 6th.
Oh, obvious. January 6th.
I mean, come on.
Of 1819 or what?
You are very well known for being hip and cool among the kids. Did you know that you're known for being hip and cool?
I didn't know that.
As the kids say. So we're going to play a game. It's called Finish the Eminem Lyric.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to start off feeding you an Eminem lyric line, and then I'm going to leave it to you to finish it off.
All right. I may or may not do this well.
All right.
So this is interesting. Again, I wasn't sure what kind of vibe we would be coming into. I think he's done other interviews. I don't know if he's done other long form interviews since dropping out, but this is the first that I've really seen, and it's like I'm not really sure what the word is. It is good. It's positive. I'm not sure, but it's good that he is not, hiding. It's good that he's not, hanging on like, well, I did this wrong and I did that wrong, and if I did this, or certainly better than him whining that I should have been that. So in terms of keeping this guy as a relevant name in politics moving forward, I'm with it. Did you put the Epstein picture of Clinton in a blue dress? We can't get it here. I'm pretty sure you can Google it.
Let's go for it.
Some of them are easy.
Okay.
I don't even get what the joke was there. I don't even get what the joke. Like, that's not a funny joke. Stop appropriating white culture. Zippy said, that's not English. That's not English.
Will the real Slim Shady please stand
up?
Okay. Good.
This made it pretty easy there.
His palms are sweaty.
Knees weak, arms are heavy.
Knees weak, arms are heavy.
There's vomit on his sweater already.
Because I've been cease and desisted from Mom's spaghetti.
Y'all remember that? Y'all remember that when he was doing, was it this one? Or it wasn't Rap God? Yeah, I guess it would be Lose Yourself. And he was doing it at some, like Iowa State Fair thing. Eminem legit sent a cease and desist. Like, loser. You're supposed to be a thug. You're supposed to be a rapper. Like, what? Come on, bro.
It's really funny.
Have you been cease and desist?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Yeah.
But you can fill in the blank.
But I'm not going to fill in the blank. Yeah.
He's
nervous. Mom's spaghetti, nervous. But on the surface, he looks calm and ready to drop the dry palms. But he keeps on forgetting what he wrote down. I'm not rapping in this speech.
All right. So I want to address a couple election things. We went over the primaries and some of those contenders. One question that I have on a more serious note is, now that you've dropped out and you've endorsed Trump,
let's go.
One of the concerns that some people have raised is if, because he's claimed that the previous election was interfered with, stolen essentially. What is to prevent that from happening again this time around?
I think a large margin.
It has to be turned.
It has to be a large margin. It has to be a Reagan 1980 style moral mandate.
Okay.
That's what I believe. And I think
that can overcome whatever it is, whether it's big tech interference.
Well, I mean, I live my
illegal
life.
Immigrants voting, whatever the situation is.
That's an interesting thing to bring up. Like, why would we be confident that even though Donald Trump does have such a wide margin, that there's not going to be some establishment black swan October surprise? And when it comes down to it, he's right. There's really nothing except the fact that there are so many individual people who are just saying, yes, I want that. I don't do whatever you want. I've already decided I want that man to lead my country. Let's go. MAGA 24.
I live my life according to the maxim that whatever is necessary is always possible. And so I think it is necessary. And therefore we must make it possible. That's what I believe. And so I think a large margin is the only way to do that in this election. Now, going forward, I favor, I've said all things I would have done if I was president and would do if I'm president.
One day voting, holiday, in person, paper ballots, same day, all that shit. Let's go.
Single day voting on election day. make it a national holiday, paper ballots, government issued ID to match the voter file, and English, I think, should be the sole language on a ballot. I don't think that's too much to ask. I
Yup.
think it's actually unifying, combined with making Election Day a national holiday.
Yup, absolutely. I haven't thought about that one in a while, but yeah, there's no reason why our national language would not be the only language on our ballots for the government. I don't know how to make that sound more obvious than it is.
So that's what I would do, but that's not what we have right now. And there's a whole game of chicken and egg. And so that's part of why I was running. And I believed that I was the best. I ran because, in part, I believed I was the best suited candidate to bring along the next generation.
I said, shit, me too. That's what I thought. That's what I thought. And that's why, if he would have kept going, I absolutely would have voted for him over Trump.
To bring along libertarians, to bring along people outside of the traditional Republican Party
Yep.
mold. The numbers suggest that we did it. 40% of my donors were first-time ever donors to the GOP.
Yeah, Von Sig's like, that's how it is in most countries. It's just that, well, we're America, so we do things differently, not because it's shady, but because we're so much better than everywhere else in the world. We don't need an election national holiday. We don't need paper ballots. We've got electronics. No, I don't want it.
Compared to 2% for normal Republicans. So yes, that was part of the premise for me, is that that's critical. It's vital. But the people of Iowa spoke loud and clear. I think President Trump was an excellent president, and he has my full support right now to not only win this election, but to win this election by such a decisive landslide that it creates a head start on reuniting the country, gets a lot of the BS behind us.
And when he says head start, he means my Vivek's head start.
And I think it's also with even a lot of the tech interference that we're beginning to see, the early signs of in this election, is going to be vital to be able to actually have a mandate that is minimum table stakes for us to really revive this country.
So what do you say then to the DeSantis supporters who have sworn off Trump and are saying that they'll never get behind him, they won't back him?
Yeah, I think that's a mistake. I think
that is a mistake. There's no reason. There's already a divide within the Republican Party between the America First MAGA type crowd and the Rhino GOP type crowd. There is no reason to take somebody who is clearly in the America First caucus, if we want to put it that way, somebody who is younger, somebody who's under 50 years old. There is no reason to put him at odds with the rest of that caucus. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. If you like Ron DeSantis, then you should want him to do well. And if you want him to do well, then everything that you've been doing for him in the last year has sucked. It has been wrong. It has been hurting him. Bruce said, we love watching Biden fall up and down the stairs in Manchester, England. It's hilarious, bro. We love watching it here, too. Bonzig said, I heard on Tim Pool, like 11 states don't need voter ID. What? That's not surprising. That's not surprising. I don't know how it got so far, but the notion that it's racist, that black people don't know how to get to the DMV as a real thing. Like, I get the politicians know that that's not true, and they're just like, hey, maybe everybody's stupid enough to believe that. But I would have thought nobody's that dumb. Most of the people who work at the DMV are black.
I think it's a mistake. I think that I'd like to maybe attribute that to
if you're talking to one
sting.
If you're talking to one face to face, what is it that you tell them to urge them that it's important that we have this turnout?
My first question would be, why did you support Ron DeSantis? You know, I mean, my supporters, I think there's some subset of my supporters. Most of my supporters are actually were naturally are really going the direction of Trump. But I would tell them the same thing I would tell my supporters, is that we have a country to save.
Yep.
And if you believe the people who we elect to run the government should be the ones who actually run the government, not the deep state, and if you believe that the President of the United States owes a moral duty to this country, not another one,
there's really no other choice.
You have one choice left in this race to accomplish that.
Exactly.
And I think he's a guy who did a pretty darn good job of at least moving the ball forward in that direction.
I said, shit, me too. Me too. This is why I was very, not confused. I don't know what the word is, but it caught me off guard that so many people were saying, you know, this was before Trump announced that he was not going to pick Nikki Haley as his VP. But when that was the conversation, so many people, it's not even just saying that they wouldn't vote for Trump because of Nikki Haley, but that they would campaign against that. And it's like, I get the sentiment. I get this sentiment, but you sound like the people who are like, well, if Donald Trump wins in 2016, I'm moving to Canada. How many of those people actually moved to Canada? And so I would just caution you to not sound like those emotional people and be like, well, that would be the worst possible case for Donald Trump, but we have a country to save.
Darn good job, I would say, in that first term.
Yup.
And that's Donald Trump. And I will tell them that you have it from me, somebody who is running against Donald Trump, that I will nonetheless do everything in my power because I believe that's the right thing to do. We'll make whatever life sacrifice is needed. But to make that happen, and I believe Ron DeSantis will too, we're each doing that for a reason. And so put the ego to one side, put your personal distastes or preferences to one side. This is not a moment for preferences, right? You're not at a restaurant picking what you want to order for dinner.
This is exactly the same. How similar is this to me talking about you're not looking for somebody to go grab a beer with. You're not looking for somebody to babysit your kids. You are looking for somebody to run the country. Context said at this point, I'd rather move to Argentina. I mean, hey, Javier, how do you say his name? Javier Milei? He is doing a damn good job, but they got a lot of problems to fix before, anything. Before anything. He's doing a fantastic job, but they got a lot to fix.
But that too soon thing may be at play here, where the primaries just ended. The primaries were very contentious. There's a lot of mean things being said on both sides.
I'd give him a week before talking to him. Is the first thing I would do.
Right.
What are we talking about? What?
Well, too. We're each doing that for a reason.
Oh, DeSantis, right?
And so put the ego to one side. Put your personal distastes or preferences to one side.
Oh, okay. He's saying that DeSantis should drop out and back Trump.
It's not a moment for preferences, right? You're not at a restaurant picking what you want to order for dinner.
For the supporters, rather.
But that too soon thing may be at play here, where the primaries just ended. The primaries were very contentious. There's a lot of mean things being said on both sides.
I'd give him a week before talking to him. Is the first thing I would do.
Right.
I'm just the conversation that you said
because it's raw right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's part of what happened with the 7-Eleven joke as well.
Right.
I think that, right, at least for some of the conservatives, I'd give them a week. I mean, I know how hard it has been for me to go from 0 to 120
a week for
and running at full speed for months, and then in about 20 minutes having to make a decisive. And that's been a process of what's only been about 6 days or so itself since I did that.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I would be understanding of that. Whenever you say we're going to sit down with a DeSantis supporter, I would say I'd wait a week, and then I'd tell them. Get to the heart of why ever they supported DeSantis. And different people could have done it for different reasons.
That's smart. That's smart. I like that he is. This is the kind of thing that endears Vivek to so many people, is that he understands not just the political savviness, but the real personability of, like, hey, if you were for DeSantis, and whether he did drop out by now, but whether he had dropped out or not, it was very clear that he wasn't going to win, and it was very clear that there was a lot of problems with the campaign. But he's, give him a week. Give him a week to mourn that, we almost had it. Oh, man. That makes sense. I love this guy. Context saying Argentina is better than Trudeau land. I don't know. I mean, they're certainly headed. Argentina is definitely on the way up, and Canada is definitely on the way down. It's just, I don't know where we are on that matrix. I don't know. There's a reason. There's a reason they needed somebody so quote unquote extreme in Argentina. But hey, I mean, if it keeps going that way with Javier, then Javier, why can't I say that name? Then fuck yeah, that would definitely be somewhere that's an option. I can stream from anywhere. What? Nobody would rather be in Philadelphia except the people who have never left Philadelphia. Shout out to my brother and sister.
But whatever the heart of that reason is, that automatically, I believe, will lead that person through reason and through an open exchange to say that obviously there's one best way left to advance that agenda. Mm-hmm. And that's to do what I'm doing and what Ron DeSantis is doing, is to support Donald Trump to be the next president.
Does anyone else see Vivek's jacket as iconic? I hope he keeps it for 2028. A lot better than the Bush jet pilot suit. Didn't notice, but not bad. I like it.
And the fact that I'm making that sacrifice after the sacrifice we made for a year tells you that I believe it's that important. Mm-hmm. And I think we're going to bring every one of those people and then some more along with us to make sure that this is not a 50.1 win. This has to be a moral mandate. It's the only choice left.
So again, just taking into account, thinking about our main lens of watching this is how relevant is Vivek going to be for the rest of this election season and beyond. He's gotten his eyes set on the right goals. That whatever, like, it's very clear he wanted to be president. He ran for president. He spent $30 million out of his own pocket. He wanted to be president. But he can see that there's something happening, and we need to fix this country before it matters whether he's president or not. He doesn't want to be president of some shithole country that's based on wokeness and all this bullshit. And I mean, I love it. I love it. So again, I'm just looking for, how are you taking the fact that you lost, you ran and you lost? How begrudging are you to the other people? How open are you to changing things that, for example, saying that, oh, I'm nobody's number two. If he offers you the VP, if Trump offers you VP, maybe that's the best thing for America, even if you personally don't want to do it. Just saying. And he seems to be in that right state of mind.
And I think that I am optimistic that we're going to revive and, dare I say, reunite this country.
Nikki Haley hasn't dropped out, so
well, that
not
needs
the
to
only choice.
Not yet.
I think it's the only viable choice. It's the only acceptable choice left.
Yep.
I think that I can think of a lot of non-Republicans who would be better choices for U.S. president than Nikki Haley.
Shout out to RFK. Shout out to Larry Elder.
I think that she is, just because you put an R after your name doesn't mean that you stand for anything remotely resembling what's best for the country.
Mm-hmm. And I would argue that mostly until the last 7 to 10 years, that it was probably that you were more likely to harm the country with an R next to your name. Things are changing, baby. Things are changing.
I just laid out a surveillance state where the bureaucrats run the show. I don't think that, talk about the death of comedy. Here's one way to do it. Require tying your government-issued ID to your social media account. Stupid. And combine that with a subpoena like what Jack Smith has right now. I don't know if you know this. Jack Smith's subpoena in one of the Trump cases has called for anybody who retweeted or hit like on one of Donald Trump's posts in 2020. Now imagine if your own social media account is...
Bro, what? What could you... what information could possibly be gained by gathering all those who have ever liked a tweet from Trump? I mean, there's people who ironically like stuff. I don't get it. I don't get it. Any film says, can you imagine Vivek in charge of the border or pretty much anything else? Shit would get done. That's what I'm saying. Hell yeah. And that's why I hope that he is very open to a cabinet position, and that he does have he does get some position that maybe isn't a VP, but again, is something that he can be more effective and get shit done. That's the problem with especially the Republican Party, is that they don't do anything. Before Trump, what did the Republican Party do for you?
It's tied to your government-issued ID as Nikki Haley, not Joe Biden, but Nikki Haley wants. Yeah, I think that would be a good way to not only kill comedy, but kill discourse in this country as well. And so just because you have...
Put a 1 in the chat. Put a 1 in the chat if you would not use social media because it had to be, if it were tied to your ID. If you would not use social media because it would have to be tied to your driver's license. Put a 1 in the chat if you would not do that. Quanzak said, in a 1984 world, irony is a luxury only the elite can enjoy. Facts. So indie film saying, hell no. Yeah, not me. Hey, shout out to M169 in the building saying, hell no. And that's a huge problem as somebody who's trying to build their livelihood being on social media. Now, of course, they do have my bank account and all that shit, so it's not the end of the world. But the concept of just, here's more information that you're not allowed to keep private. It's not good. It's not good. And like Wontek's saying, irony is a luxury only the elite can enjoy, and privacy is right behind it.
a little R after your name, that means nothing to me.
Mm.
Like, I'm not a party man. I'm not a party hack. I've said for a long time I'm using the Republican Party. Attempted to use the Republican Party as a vehicle to advance a pro-American agenda.
Oh, you mean kind of like Trump did? Yeah, well, that makes sense. So maybe it makes sense that people who like Trump, people who like Vivek, can also hate the Republican Party, the GOP, and Mitch McConnell, and all the policies that have come out, all of that stuff. It's not the same group of people. You have America First, MAGA, whatever, and you have the GOP rhinos over here. It is not the same group of people.
That's far bigger than just one particular partisan infrastructure. But I view her as an unacceptable option for U.S. president.
Yeah.
And, I think that there's probably only one thing that could turn me away from otherwise being full-throatedly supporting Trump, is if Trump brought her on, the ticket or any kind of senior role, her or anyone like her.
And you've made that known already.
Yeah. And so that.
But again, what do you? I agree with you. That would be horrible. But what are you going to do then? You're going to abstain when Biden can be in office again, or if Big Mike's coming on board? You're going to abstain in this election? We're not voting for Nikki Haley. Again, if it was Nikki Haley as the president versus Biden, I'm abstaining. But Trump is the president in this, in this scenario. I don't get it. And was it Tucker Carlson who's saying I would campaign against that? No, the fuck you wouldn't. Shut the fuck up, bro.
There's no other way I could imagine really being kicking myself off the Trump train at this point, other than if the entire ranks get staffed by a bunch of neocons. Nikki Haley on that list.
Which is why you should have stayed in the race, bruh.
But short of that, Donald Trump has my full support going through the very end.
You mentioned the big tech stuff and them having your ID and all of that. Like I know you talk often about big tech censorship, which has been an issue we've dealt with the Babylon Bee. Usually from the perspective of, government being behind the scenes and meddling in these things and doing things that they couldn't do themselves because it would be a constitutional violation. But what about the speech issue that is raised in a lot of people's minds where government's not involved, but we're just told these are private companies that can do whatever they want?
Yeah.
Oh, this gets into the Section 230 stuff, where, the companies want to have their cake and eat it too. They want to be able to control the platform as if they are a publisher. Like in the New York Times, if you publish something, it says by the New York Times. Yes, it has the author there, but the New York Times is who's going to get in trouble if you post some bullshit. On Twitter or Facebook or YouTube, nobody is saying that YouTube is publishing this stream right now. This goes to me. So if I said something crazy, if I said something wild, then I would be the one who would be in trouble. So why then do you even fucking care what we're saying? If people don't, if advertisers don't want to advertise with me, let that be my problem. Why are you creating a problem for me when the advertise? You could just put those ads on other fucking videos. You're going to tell me that you don't have enough videos for advertisements? Come on, man. Zibby said 230 should only come with hands-off censoring. I think I agree, but what exactly do you mean by that?
What about the speech issue?
Shout out to Carl on IG.
That is raised in a lot of people's minds where government's not involved, but we're just told these are private companies that can do whatever they want.
Yeah.
When they're private companies that run the town square, should there be some regulation in place there that prohibits them from engaging in viewpoint discrimination?
I would be okay. With companies being able to censor you and this, that, and the other, if they didn't have the freedom of the publisher. It's the fact that they have the freedom to take away your right to speak without any reason. That it comes all over them. Hey, shout out to Culture Hop with B Hop. Welcome to the party. Another awesome YouTuber just dropped the link to his channel in the chat. Please go check him out. I got Indians all over my screen right now. The horror, all the brown. Welcome to the party, brother. Zippy said sites should be a middleman between the advertisers and the creators. make a plug-in system so advertisers can support and get data more directly. Yeah, and there's definitely people who specifically want to advertise with a more conservative or libertarian audience. There's definitely people who would not at all want to advertise on this show, no matter how I danced around this word or that word or that word. So let them make that decision. Let them make that decision. And then when I'm okay, if I say abortion, then these 5 companies won't talk to me. But if I just say schmushmortion, then let me make those decisions. Let me make those decisions. Why are you making those decisions? As I just say, 230 means you can't stop people posting anything, like deleting stuff, when people no longer use the account. Doing some. Oh, yeah. Agreed.
So the first thing I will say there is the government is there in a very palpable sense. So there's 2 senses in which the government's there. One of the carrots and one's the sticks. The sticks are the threats. So once a government has made a threat upon a private actor, that private actor knows, like, what do I mean? The government says, okay, I don't want you to sell that book if you're a bookstore owner. Am I making that up? No, it's a real case called Bantam Books. The prosecutor told the guy he couldn't sell the book.
Bantam Books? I have not heard about this. What are we talking about? Bantam Books. Let's just hit the wiki. Let's see if they have. What happened with where's the news thingy? Okay, dead at 102. Not seeing anything here, huh? They're burying it. I don't know what happened. Let's do censorship. That's not how you spell ship. That's not how you spell censorship. Censorship. Shining light on censorship and transferring. What is this? What do we have here? Shining a light on censorship, how transparency can curtail government social media, censorship, and more. So there's more than one way to burn a book. Facts. True government. When most people think about government censorship, they imagine a fireman in Fahrenheit 451 burning books or the Great Firewall in China. But the government censorship, at least in the United States, increasingly occurs in more subtle fashion. Government officials informally pressuring or encouraging private actors, such as social media companies, to suppress the speech of or deny services to individuals with disfavored views. In other words, censorship by proxy. This practice has colloquially been referred to as jawboning. So yeah, we saw all about that. Is there anything here about Bantam? Okay, so the First Amendment lawsuits are rooted in Bantam Books, Inc. v. Sullivan, where the Supreme Court held that the actions of Rhode Island Commission to encourage morality in youth violated the First Amendment. The commission sent notices to distributors of books, quote, that certain designated books or magazines had been declared by a majority of its members to be objectionable for sale, distribution, or display to minors. What books are we? Is this? I want to know the name of the. What are we talking about? The notice thanked the distributors in advance for their cooperation and reminded them it's the duty to recommend the Attorney General prosecution of purveyors of obscenity. The commission also sent lists of what it considers to be objectionable publications. So what actually was? What were they trying to get rid of? For example, former President Trump filed a class action lawsuit against Twitter in the United States, alleging that the government coerced Twitter into suppressing speech in violation of the First Amendment. What does that have to do with banning books? I don't know. More shady stuff going on. Bonzig said governments and politicians should not be allowed on Twitter. I disagree completely. I think the entire reason we have this argument of my eyes are. There's so many lights in my face right now, and that entire screen is white. Sorry. Okay. But yeah, the entire reason we have this argument of Twitter being the public square is because governments and politicians are on there. If it was just a bunch of people, then we wouldn't have that argument. So Culture Pop is saying they are a big publisher. Perhaps, but I don't. Again, I don't necessarily think that's a reason to say that they can't be on social media. Guantag said, I can't stand the way forced censorship has screwed our way of communicating. We are seriously forced to sound like second graders, spelling out words to each other so the teacher doesn't get angry at us. Yeah. Yep. Oh, yeah. Yep. And he was just talking about that before. Guantag talking about the coddling of the American mind. We can't even be allowed to speak like adults anymore. Like, which R word am I thinking right now? Retard.
That bookstore owner then knows that he can't sell any other books like that as well. So even if it's years later, the government's not threatening to sell another book like it.
Right. So apparently there was some particular book and there was a lawsuit and they were saying, oh, you can't sell this book. And Vivek's point is like, okay, at least Bantam Books understands this was the offense. This was what got me in trouble. So let me not do that.
It's the government threat has a shadow and it has a long shadow.
Ooh.
And so in that sense, that government imprint is still there.
The government has a long shadow. God damn.
The second thing is it's actually codified in the law, right? So many states have internet freedom protections, laws that say that if you're engaging in racial or political discrimination, including on the internet or as a private enterprise, that you're breaking the law and that you can be sued in that state.
Mm.
But our federal government has overridden that and has said that, no. Even if you're violating those state laws, if you're a tech company that's an internet site operator, then you actually can't be sued.
Rules for thee, but not for me. Guys, can I ask you a huge favor? Just get me 3 more likes. Thank you so much.
Under the state laws, you have a
Full
shield
immunity.
Right. And some people use Section 230. There's a lot of parts of Section 230, and people mix them up. But
oh, great! So he's about to get into 230. But yeah, Von Zeg, I always loved the word retard. I always loved the word retard. And I forget which comedian specifically said it. They all have retard jokes, but like you don't call your friends or you don't call somebody who's mentally handicapped retarded. You call your friends a retard when they're being retarded. And, I saw, I guess maybe since Elon took over Twitter and people just started saying it more, I stopped saying it because I didn't want to get in trouble from the adults, as Guantag was talking about. But people are saying it. So, I mean, hey, whatever. And I'm bringing gay back. Gay meaning lame is coming back. Don't be gay, bro. And I mean, obviously not on YouTube, but the F slur is coming back too. The F slur is coming back too. Guamsec says to Zippy, you have the highest chance of survival in this censorship world. The algos will just see what you say and explode, Max. Oh no, this seems a spam bot. Wait, I am one of those. Actually, she used to fight back against our techno overlords. There you go. Zippy's on the front lines. All right, Section 230.
Right. And some people use Section 230. There's a lot of parts of Section 230, and people mix them up. But Section 230C2 specifically says, for removing otherwise constitutionally protected speech, even if you could be sued under a state law, you can't be sued. Like it's literally, C1 is the part where it's like you're not liable for the post, and people mix that up. That's literally what C2 says.
So let's take a look at that. Let's take, what do you say? Section 230C2? Jesus fucking Christ. So I guess they're just talking about these two things. Where'd it go? I hate when it does that. Zoom into where I was. So section 2 is section 230. Where did it go? Okay. Section 230 has 2 primary parts, both listed under 230C as the Good Samaritan portion of the law under Section 230C1, as identified above. Section 2 provides immunity from civil liabilities for information service providers, for ISPs, that remove or restrict content from their services they deem obscene, lewd, lascivious, filthy, blah, 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 whether or not such material is constitutionally protected. Again, basically just meaning we have the laws of what is allowed to be said. We have the First Amendment, and we have, like threats. You're not allowed to say, there's a fire in a crowded theater unless there is actually a fire in that theater, so on and so forth. But not the tech companies. They can just do whatever they want. And as you can see here, says as long as they act in good faith.
Come on, man.
Oh man, that wasn't us. Gay is definitely back. Yep. Well, the gays were always calling the gays. That's how those kind of words work. But I'm taking it back. I'm straight as shit, and you're fucking gay.
And so I would convert that into an opt-in statute, which says that listen, if you're a tech company and you want to really be a private company and you really want to be the person who determines who walks into your door, to use the storefront analogy, or not, then fine, you get to be that company, but you don't get the special shield of immunity. But if you want a special blanket of immunity from the federal government,
then you have to follow the laws of the federal government.
Then you're bound by the same constraints as the person who's wrapping that blanket around you, which is the federal government, which means you're bound by the same constraints as the federal government, which includes the First Amendment.
Does anybody see any way that that could be considered unfair to anyone? Didn't think so.
The Constitution.
So do you see the Supreme Court coming down in a similar place with these laws, like the law that was passed in Florida and then struck down, and the law that was passed in Texas and upheld? That circuit split basically is going to go to the Supreme Court. And you see them.
Absolutely. And I'm not saying this to boast or anything, but I actually laid out a lot of these legal arguments starting in January of 2021, right after, in the days after January 6th. I actually wrote this up because that's when you saw it happening most rampantly. So in the days after January 6th, I basically made
the most deadliest day in history.
But that was January 6th, 1819. I'm talking about the one in 2020.
Oh, okay. Ah, true. Remember, it was 1619.
That one, 2021. Yeah. So in the days after I laid out this argument, people call that a conspiracy theory, a figment of a legal argument. What we've actually seen is that was absolutely what was happening. And that argument is actually what's being used in countless of these cases now, working their way up to the Supreme Court. And I'll say so, as I said at the time, I predict the Supreme Court will come down on the theory that myself and former law professor of mine, Jed Rubenfeld, we co-wrote that piece. Some of it shows up in my book, Woke Inc., in a more developed form. Jed's written articles about it as well. He's a law professor. I give him more credit even than me for laying out the meat and potatoes of the argument. But that will, I believe, be decided by the Supreme Court in the manner that we argued.
Where does common carrier regulation come into play in all of that? Because that's what Justice Thomas has argued for.
Right.
We don't need to go like too deep into that, but just
I don't think you have to go there.
Yeah.
I do think that is a separate independent basis for getting to the same place. To say that, just as, if we use the railroad analogy, just like a railroad is a common carrier,
right?
Which is to say,
but it is a distinct argument.
It is a distinct argument. It is a distinct argument.
Wait, sorry, I was typing a little bit. I got it.
We don't need to go like too deep into that, but just
the manner that we argued.
Where does common carrier regulation come into play in all of that? Because that's what Justice Thomas has argued for.
Right.
We don't need to go like too deep into that, but just
I don't think you have to go there.
Yeah.
I do think that is a separate independent basis for getting to the same place. To say that, just as, if we use the railroad analogy, just like a railroad is a common carrier,
right?
Which is to say,
but it is a distinct argument.
It is a distinct argument.
So basically, again, I don't know the ins and outs, but when we talk about common carriers, this is what the there's a reason you can't get banned from Verizon for what you say on a phone call. There's a reason you can't get banned from like you were talking about the railroads because of something that you said. They are common carriers, and that has a special designation. And so if the tech companies want to be able to be protected by Section 230, then they should be held under what the fuck was I just saying? They should be considered a common carrier.
It is a distinct argument. The thing about common carrier, though, is you then also have to figure out whether it's one of the protected categories that aren't quite in the law right now. This gets into a separate discussion. We can have it. Race, gender.
How do you even see that?
Sexual orientation, religion, and national origin are the protected classes. Political belief is not at the federal level. It is at certain states, and it is in about 20 states or so, including, by the way, red and blue alike. California is one of the states that protects political expression. So does Florida. California adopted this back in the Bush era when they worried about political discrimination against liberals.
Right.
But in order for the common carrier argument to be a solid winner, you'd have to have a view that political expression was protected. And that, I think, is slightly weaker footing than the footing that I'm arguing, which is Section 230 C2 already applies across the board to tech companies. So I think they should make it an opt-in statute. But if it's not, it automatically, per the other railroad case, the one that actually said that the Fourth Amendment stuff about the drug searches, if the railroads had immunity from the government, they're bound by the same standards as the government for the Fourth Amendment. Then if the tech companies are bound by immunity provided by the federal government, they're bound by the same standards as the federal government would.
Yeah, so it's just saying, like, if you get caught with drugs on a train, then, you know, the conductor is not going to jail. Same thing should happen online. If you're saying go saying things that you're not allowed to say, then I don't know who it is anymore. But Jack Dorsey is not the who is it? Who is it? I don't care. But whoever was at the head of I guess Zuck is at the head of Instagram now. But you know what I mean? It's not them going to jail. It's you that gets in trouble.
With respect to the First Amendment.
Right.
So I think that's a far more plain, airtight way to go here. The common carrier argument, I think, is persuasive, but they're not discriminating based on race or gender or sexual orientation, which are the protected classes in, you know, Title VII of the Civil Rights Statutes.
So that brings up the question, should political affiliation be a protected class? My instinct is to say no. But I don't know. What do you guys think? Bonsig said I started calling people virgins again instead of autistic. I'm saying I just call people I don't like woke. Whether they are or they aren't, they're still gonna get mad. There you go. That's how you do it. Oh, Bonsig, you're one of those. You're one of those. How dare you? Oh, I hate when people do that. You're being bad faith. No, the fuck I'm not. But you're right. We do get triggered. Culture Pop said Zuck ain't going to jail. He going to a bunker. Yep.
Gender or sexual orientation, which are the protected classes in, you know, Title VII of the Civil Rights Statutes. It's based on political expression, which, though we might believe that it should be protected, and I'll tell you where I land on that, which is
good, because I would love to hear the argument either way, because it seems like you shouldn't be able to. So, like, yeah, it seems like you shouldn't be able to, like, let's take getting a job. You shouldn't be able to be denied a job just because you're a Trump supporter, the same way you shouldn't be able to be denied a job just because you're black or Asian or a woman. But I guess the difference is that your political beliefs are not immutable characteristics. I think that's what it's where it comes down.
Though we might believe that it should be protected. And I'll tell you where I land on that, which is I'd get rid of the protected classes altogether. You gotta go full.
That's exactly what I was thinking. That's why. Where am I? That's why I was confused, because I was like, okay, well, it doesn't seem like it should be a protected class, but there's a lot of protected classes that I don't think should be protected classes. I don't think you should be able to. Well, no, that's not true. I do think you should be able to say, I don't like you because you are black, and therefore I will not hire you. Well, a lot of people are going to hear about that, and I don't know how well your business is going to do after that. So, do you, Libertarian America? Let's go.
Now, that'll never happen. So, in absence of repealing the protected classes, I think adding political expression is the next best alternative, right? At least you have to apply the standards even-handedly.
He's throwing me for a loop. Because all of those other things are immutable characteristics, which is why they are protected classes. And he makes a good point that there's not really a good reason, even though they are all in that group of immutable characteristics. There's not necessarily a good reason why we need to have such strict laws around that. And so he wants to get rid of all of it. This guy doesn't miss, guys. He does not miss. What has he said ever that you didn't like?
That's what I think should happen as a matter of policy, but that's not happened yet. Which means that you're left with, you know, the existing classes that are bind to common carriers, but political expression isn't quite on the list. So that becomes, I think, a slightly more challenging legal argument. You can use religion to do this, though, actually. The religion prong gets the job done.
Here we go. Here we go.
In the same way you can't stop an employee.
I actually think For those of you who don't know, I am a staunch atheist, though I am very high on Christian values. I am a staunch atheist, and I think that the inclusion of religion in conservative politics is going to be the downfall of the cultural right. However, I do think that in this case, the specific argument that he's about to make, I think I could agree with, because he didn't say that you need Jesus or something like that. He said you can do this with religion. So that's a very different claim. So I think I'm going to be able to agree, but we gonna see. You know, I get triggered whenever religion gets brought up in politics. Context, I didn't like that he said he's a vegetarian. I'll let it slide because at least he's not a vegan. Okay, but he isn't like that part of being Hindu? That's not like hippie vegetarian. That's like, oh, they in the same way that you, I mean, pick anything that you're not allowed to do in Christianity. If that's the case, that's an entirely different thing than being like, I used to just like eat fucking Cheetos and Chipotle all the time, but now I'm going super healthy and cutting out the Chipotle. All right, so let's see. So yeah, again,
but political expression isn't quite on the list, so that becomes, I think, a slightly more challenging legal argument.
Okay,
you can use religion to do this.
So he said you can use religion for this.
I think a slightly more challenging legal argument. You can use religion to do this, though.
Not you have to.
The religion prong gets the job done.
Okay.
Which is that in the same way you can't stop an employee, like the religion prong of the civil rights statute say that you can't discriminate against an employee based on his religion.
Right.
If you're a large employer. But it also means that you can't force your employee to bow down to your religion.
Sure.
So if what's happening today...
Oh, is he going to just turn wokeism into a religion, which they already did, and say, well, you can't force your religion on me? I love it.
Effectively, threatening to fire somebody because they wore a MAGA hat or they had the wrong political post online.
Is that where he's going?
That's effectively like forcing your employee to bow down to your religion.
Called it! What did I tell you? I know. I just get where this man is coming from. I just get it. And in the same way that I don't think that a political affiliation should be a protected class in the context of what is a protected class and how do we use those protected classes? Well, then in a vacuum, no, but given the context, yes, we should have political affiliation as a protected class. The same thing here that he's saying, well, religion can be, freedom of religion is a good thing. It means that you are allowed to practice whatever you want. However, you don't have the freedom to force it on other people. And even though there is no divinity, there's no God belief in wokeness, it absolutely is a religion. And so if I can't push if I can't push Christianity or Hinduism or Judaism or anything on you, then you can't push wokeness on me. I love it.
They wore a MAGA hat or they had the wrong political post online. If that's effectively like forcing your employee to bow down to your religion, then I think you have a good argument in the tech company's case if they're forcing the employees to do that, that it's a violation on the prong of religion, actually. But that's, again, a little bit more creative.
Creative's a great word for that. Creative is a great word for that.
Religion, actually. But that's, again, a little bit more creative as a legal argument.
And there isn't really precedent for that. You have to set the precedent.
Yeah, right. There's some precedent for it. You actually would have a lot of fun with this. There could be good B material in here. There's a religion, I'm not making this up, a belief system that the Supreme Court held counted as a religion called Onion Head.
What? Onion Head. Okay. Onion Head religion. What do we have here? Please give me a video. $39. Oh, we don't have 39 minutes. No? Okay. All right. What do we got here? Can I not do whatever? All right. Onion Head is a religion under Title VII. Court finds in favor of employees of reverse religion bias case. A federal district court recently ruled that an employer-initiated program known as Onion Head was a religion for the purposes of Title VII of the Civil Rights Act in 1964. In Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, the U.S. District Court for New York held that Onion Head, also sometimes known as harnessing happiness, qualifies as a religion under Title VII. Let's see a little bit more here. A federal district court ruled that an employer... Wait, you just said that. 2007, officers of United Health Programs, a company that provides discount medical plans to groups, felt that a change of corporate culture was needed. They hired an advisor who had developed programs known as Onion Head to hold workshops with employees. The advisor visited the company for days at a time over several months. She met with employees individually and in groups, and the meetings included chanting and prayers. Employees were encouraged to share personal information, and the advisor offered unsolicited advice about their personal lives. Emails between management and the advisor included references to God, spirituality, demons, Satan, miracles, and higher guidance teaching. Onion had written materials, which were provided by the advisor and used in the workshops with employees, referred to faith, the soul, heaven, and commitment to a, quote, universal plan. This sounds like a cult. I mean, this goes on and on and on. Let's see. Do they have like tenants? No. No. I would love to know what do they believe? What is the belief of Onion Head? No. All right. Anyway, cults gonna cult. Culture Pop said, if someone asks me what my religion is, I just say American. George Washington Orthodox. There you go. I think we got our comment of the night. Dilly to that. American. That's my religion. Gang. Yeah. Yep. So is PR now. I mean, not as bad as HR, but that's really what it sounds like. It sounds like the Onion Head thing. It just sounds like super HR, like a company that was just like, let's just have super strict HR, but we'll call it something different. You know, semantic obfuscation.
A belief system that the Supreme Court held counted as a religion called Onion Head. It's literally called.
Really?
Yeah, it's called Onion Head.
I haven't heard of this.
It refers to, yeah, I think a lot of people haven't. But it refers to, it's like a positivity belief system. It's about keeping yourself positive, but it's called Onion Head. I don't know why they named it that.
Okay.
It's really kind
Well, if you did your research, Vivek, it would be because of the programs that the lady in charge developed.
of bizarre. But hey, who am I to laugh at some other person's belief system?
Somebody who doesn't have a terribly, horribly stupid. Oh, no, you're religious. So scratch that. Sorry.
So anyway, it's called Onion Head is the name that I'm laughing at. But the Supreme Court anyway.
Real quick, though. It does always tickle me a little bit when you have some silly belief about some man in the sky or what happens after you die or whatever. And then you have the audacity to laugh at somebody else's crazy idea because you're just unfamiliar with it. Like, I mean, go ahead and make fun of Scientology all you want, but it is no less weird than any sect of Christianity. You're just used to it.
So anyway, it's called Onion Head is the name that I'm laughing at. But the Supreme Court anyway held that Onion Head met the Supreme Court's test for what counts as a religion. And it's like super secular. It's like very positive thinking oriented principles.
Well, I mean, they talked a lot about the soul, a lot about faith, so it's not that secular.
Onion Head counts as a religion. Modern wokeism definitely meets the Supreme Court's test to a T. A comprehensive belief system, certain words you can't say, clothes you can't wear, apologies you must recite. So I wouldn't go so far as to say there's no precedent for it in terms of finding the modern woke doctrine to meet the Supreme Court's test for what counts as a religion. I think there's actually a lot of precedent for it. Secular humanism has been held to meet the test.
Secular humanism, aka the atheist religion. So when y'all want to say that atheism is a religion, what you're actually talking about is secular humanism. Just basic ideas that, okay, humans are special in some way. Therefore, we want to treat other humans as if they are just as special as ourselves. That is what you mean when you say atheism is a religion, but that's not atheism. That's what's built on top of atheism. Zippy says public relations is dealing with things outside the company. The only reason they seem sane, they have to deal with things outside the company. I swear they are twice as mad. Look at the Bud Light mess. What does that have to? What about Bud Light has to do with being a cult? You had one lady come in and be like, "Oh, we want to get rid of this frat boy image," and they went to Dylan Mulvaney, and everybody was like,
"Oh hell no!"
And then they fired her. What's culty about that?
In terms of finding the modern woke doctrine to meet the Supreme Court's test for what counts as a religion, I think there's actually a lot of precedent for it. Secular humanism has been held to meet the test. But then to use that to say it's a Title VII violation for forcing your employee to bow down, I will admit is a tougher legal argument to make than the bare bones. There's literally a federal law that immunizes tech companies from any liability in state courts from California to Florida.
But you don't have to start with the tech companies. You don't have to start with the tech companies. All you have to do is create or establish that wokeism, or whatever you want to call it, is in fact a religion, and what the tenets of that religion are, which is, you know, I mean, you go down the list. Once that happens, then whether or not the tech companies are subject to the same things as you know, other protected classes, it's about the culture that, okay, it's been decided this is a protected class, so now we all that trickles down. It's not going to be something that we stamp into law, like, oh well, now the tech companies are saying wokeness is a religion, so we win. Like, no, that's not going to happen. But you know, bit by bit, you know, the wheels of government are meant to move slowly so that we don't get drastic changes. The problem with right now is that all of the changes in the culture have circumnavigated politics, and which is how we've gotten such rapid change so quickly. Oh, we got that one. Gromtek said public relations. Oh, you mean propaganda pushers, essentially. But I still don't know how that makes them a cult. Public relations dealing with the face of the company, and more companies have woke PR departments that go outside the company to proselytize their wokeness. Maybe I'm not. Can you give me an example? I mean, this definitely happens, but can you give me an example of this that would fall under public relations? Maybe I'm just not framing it in my mind correctly. Because I'm just thinking of like an individual person or company or whatever, and their public relations person. Like, you know, I'm thinking like Ballers or Entourage, and it's like, oh shit, this happened. Or Silicon Valley, this happened. We got to make sure that the people think this, that. I don't know. If you can give me an example of this, then you got me. Because I think I agree with you. I'm just not sure.
Tech companies from any liability in state courts from California to Florida for being sued for a violation of state law.
Haram!
That literally means if that federal blanket of immunity, the constraints that apply to the federal government, including the First Amendment, attach. And so, yes, I think under the current circumstances, those tech companies are bound by the standards of the First Amendment. I think that is currently what is required by the law, unless we have a drastic revamping of the way things run. In which case, you'd have actually a lot more competition. You'd have a lot more alternatives where we wouldn't have the same problem that we do today. So it's not just some clever legal argument. It's literally part of why we have the problem we do, is it's been sort of the invisible hand of the managerial class. And the managerial class lives in the swamp in DC and the administrative state, but it's a horizontal managerial class, actually, that pervades the private sector.
All right, hold on. We're switching.
Haram!
We can get a little more with that.
Haram!
There we go. All right.
Haram!
I like that. I needed that back. That was one of my favorites.
Haram!
And I had the rewind button, but now I got the record scratch, so that works better. Bonzig said a woke awareness charity foundation, George Soros would be so impressed.
Haram!
There we go. Definitely agree. Zippy said the company has to set up rules for PR department, and the PR department follows those rules. Though I guess it could be it's more a lack of rules that create the big PR blunders.
What?
Any job is they set the rules and you have to follow the rules. That's not a cult. I don't know what you're talking about. Hey, shout out to Mood in the building. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the party. We are checking in with Vivek Ramaswamy after not only dropping out of the presidential race, but being victimized as a 7-Eleven employee. Welcome to the party. We are talking about Section 230 and the tech companies getting away with MOIDA.
It's literally part of why we have the problem we do, is it's been sort of the invisible hand of the managerial class. And the managerial class lives in the swamp in DC and the administrative state, but it's a horizontal managerial class, actually, that pervades the private sector. I mean, the same people who go on to become on the boards of directors of some middling company or some nonprofit, that then become the undersecretary of God knows what in the Department of Commerce or the NIH, who then become, you know,
the revolving door,
or something or other at a university.
The revolving door. It's just you get elected, you do favors for these people, then after your tenure or whatever, you go over and you get a cushy job because you've done them so many favors. Hey, shout out to Diggs BTW7 over on Twitch. Welcome to the party. How are you doing? Welcome.
Become, you know, associate dean of something or other at a university. It's the same gene pool. It's the same type.
It's almost like a swamp where all the monsters are the same,
if you will, that kind of has created this horizontal managerial class that pervades the public and private sector alike. And I think once you decouple that, because they're the ones that then come back and tell the middling tech company lobbyists that they get this special form of protection. Once we sever that connection and really drain the lifeblood out of that managerial class, that's how we get this country back. And so that's a little bit abstract. But
I was going to say fair, but okay, what exactly are you saying to do to accomplish that? Now, on the campaign trail, he was all about cutting government spending and getting rid of you know, the FBI, all the three-letter agencies. But I don't know that I heard too much about what he wants to do in terms of specifically the big tech companies. Like he's certainly said a lot about how he doesn't like what they are doing, but I don't know how much he said about what he would want to do. And again, now that he's not running for president, maybe he wants to keep those cards close to the chest. So he could be like, Trump, I got a great idea. But you know what? Then hire me first.
That kind of gives you a sense for where I think the root cause of our country's woes really are, is it's that swampish managerial class that pervades all aspects of our lives and not just the government.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's what I think is going on in a lot of these private companies too. It's middle management. It's not the proprietor.
I was wondering what you meant by that when I saw you say that, because you tweeted that. Well,
the other day, right?
Shout out to Jack Dorsey.
Yeah.
Posted on X.
Yeah, I X'd it.
You X posted. Yeah, that it's not really Democrat versus Republican, or it's the managerial class. And I was wondering where you.
That's what I mean by that.
You articulated
because
that.
even
and that a way to think about that is whenever we look at something Destiny is doing. We're like, we don't necessarily hate everything that he says. We don't, I mean, maybe some of you do, but you know, in terms of, you know, just the channel in general, we can appreciate, I like how he's approached this and he's got some good ideas, but there's a little bit of perspective difference in terms of the economy or Trump specifically, or whatever the case may be. The idea though, that he is the enemy as opposed to a Joe Biden or even a Nikki Haley is completely incorrect and exactly what they want us to think. Oh, she is alive and kicking. She is alive and kicking, and I bet you the establishment wishes she wasn't, because she is the reason that they have to stick with Biden. She is the reason that they have to stick with Biden. If it weren't for her, if it was just some other white guy, because you know they're all fucking racist, if it was just some white guy, then they could just be like, oh, move aside, we're picking another white guy. But because they're so focused, hey, I'm going to pick a black lady, that it's like, okay, well, if you're stepping aside, I thought you picked this black lady because, oh, so you picked her because, got it. Thank you, man. I know you weren't necessarily talking about the Kamala Harris stuff, but thank you.
You X posted, that it's not really Democrat versus Republican, or it's the managerial class. And I was wondering where you.
That's what I mean by that.
You articulated
because
well.
even like I think I mean, I don't know Jack Dorsey, and
Yeah.
I'm sure he and I disagree on a lot of things. But I don't even.
Hey, shout out to the Fortnite Fornicator. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the party. How are you doing? I like that name. That's a good one. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
See, and
Yeah.
I'm sure he and I disagree on a lot of things. But I don't even think it was really him driving a lot of that.
This is what Tim Pool says all the time, that there was a time when Jack Dorsey legitimately wanted that free speech platform, and it was when liberals were about free speech and all that stuff. And he was just in that managerial class, and his brain got fried, and he wasn't able to see, the perfect example, 7-Eleven. 7-Eleven. Hey, we also got Jake Blake in the building. Welcome, welcome, Jake Blake. What the fuck was I saying?
But I don't even think it was really him.
Oh yeah, Jack Dorsey. And so one of the most poignant moments was when Jack Dorsey and Vijaya, whatever her name was on Joe Rogan with Tim Pool, and they brought up the misgendering policy. And Tim was like, Jack, how do you not see that for half of the people, misgendering means one thing, and for the other half of people, misgendering means the exact opposite? To a conservative, misgendering means calling a trans person by what their preferred pronouns are. And of course, to a liberal, it's the complete opposite. And so I think that he just got lost in the sauce. Jake, you can call me whatever you like. Welcome to the party. As long as do they have likes on Twitch? I don't even know. Like, subscribe, do all that stuff. You can call me whatever you like. Zibby said the executive class is one huge circle jerk of nobles screwing nobles. All the processes they created turn inbred. Yep, and that's exactly what he was talking about, the revolving door. First, you go here and you do favors for X, Y, and Z. Then you're done with your office. X, Y, and Z is like, hey, we got a job for you. And they're like, hey, check it out. The guy who took your place in Congress, he's going to, slide us some whatever under the table. Then that person is right. Hey, I was there too. Hey, it's all a big club. It was all a big club. I don't know. I apologize about that. I do not spend much time on Twitch, so I'll take a look at that. Jake Blake asks Zippy, what is your voting intention? Interesting question.
I disagree on a lot of things. But I don't even think it was really him driving a lot of that censorship. I think it was happening beneath the level of detection of even somebody who's in his position.
Right.
And I think he kind of checked out eventually and going to French Polynesian islands or whatever it is, and just eventually just checking out altogether. I don't know. I mean, I'm just going to Myanmar and meditating for 3 weeks. Sounds like a fine thing to do, but it's an interesting thing to do while you're running a company or multiple companies. But he's a talented guy, and I'm not second guessing the way he runs his companies, but I am second guessing the assumption that it was him even driving these decisions.
Yeah, well, Elon said it wasn't
point.
like they were just drinking the Kool-Aid; they were swimming in it. There, like when he showed up, it was just a pervasive problem.
Yeah, it's like pervasive. It's almost beyond any one person. It becomes part of the bureaucracy.
All right. Well, if anybody knows how to turn off the moderation on Twitch, let me know.
That's why you got to do what Elon does, which is just bring a jackhammer to the whole thing, a chainsaw. And if I have anything to do with
Fortnite Fornicator said I was just censored on Twitch for saying my candidate's name. The NWO owns Twitch for sure. God damn. God damn. I thought YouTube was bad. Well, actually, they were censoring words before, too. What did they censor? Rage? Somebody tried to say rage, and they censored it. They're taking over, guys. This is why we need to come together and make sure that we have influence to push back against this bullshit. Exactly. You're seeing it happen right in front of your face in real time. Jake Blake says, I gotta be honest here. Seth Dillon is okay, in my opinion. So I can feel that. When it came to like the original joke, I was like, that's a very mid joke. Like, I'm not offended at the racism. I just don't think it's a funny joke. And if you're gonna be a racist and that the libs are gonna be like, oh my god, then at least do something funny. And it didn't really land. Zippy said, Trump, I swear, if he elects Hillary, meaning Nikki, to be his VP on his board, Twitch has some odd defaults for the word moderation. Yeah, I was just trying to look. I have the page open. If anybody knows where to go to actually do that, then I would love to be able to fix that. Fornicators going hard, said Derek Chauvin for VP. Oh my God. Oh my God. Yeah, we try to joke around here. We try to joke around. Yeah, I mean, I thought it was. I didn't think it was funny. I didn't think it was funny. Again, I'm not offended by it. I just was like, all right, yeah, I see what you did there, and that's it. Like, not offended. I just could have done better. And who was it? Somebody brought up how Vivek worked in biotech, so he was a big pharma guy. And there's a lot of, that same kind of thing of pharmacy. There could have been something better there that was still racist and was still funny. Go ahead, Morty. And was just better, and they just didn't. But the way that the way that people got Morty, go. What are you doing? The way that people bugged out about it, we're not having. I have, in fact, I have.
What Trump does in this next term. I think we got to abandon this illusion that you can reform these bureaucracies, these beasts. Right? If Elon came and said we can reform Twitter by putting in a new CEO at the top and a new head of, security, you missed the point. You got to slash and burn 75% of what's there.
Yep.
And so for me, that would anyway be it's not like people are, it's not like this is, something that's an
fornicator. I'm loving it, but I cannot put that on screen. Am I going to cook that dog up for dinner? God, hell no. That's my boy, my co-host Morty in the building. He's going to get a treat just for you suggesting it.
How dare you?
How did you know I was half Chinese? All right, where are we?
And so for me, that would anyway be it's not like people are, it's not like this is, something that's an active offer to me or anything anyway, but people ask me under what conditions would you go be vice president or whatever, or.
No, I've never picked up a hooker. I have slept with a, whatchamacallit, a stripper, and I didn't pay for it, and she hit me up, and she brought over weed, and she left some the next morning. Not really proud of the particular stripper, but hey, it was fun. All right, I'm gonna try to fix. The moderation right.
Working the administration. I just have a different view than a lot of the Republican Party who believes in figurehead reform. I don't. I think that shutdown is a viable option. Shutting down multiple of these bureaucracies, that works. Like that actually works, because then you have to recreate from scratch, and you can do it on the right scaffold. But working within an existing scaffold that's already broken in an agency, I just don't think that works, right? It doesn't mean that the person doesn't have good intentions. It just doesn't. It doesn't happen. It doesn't work. And so whether that's in the bureaucracy in the federal government, or whether it's a rotten bureaucracy even in the private sector or at a university or any other institution, you have to be willing to raise the thing down and then take the risk of cutting not just too much or the right amount of fat. If you're cutting the right amount of fat, it means that you are taking some risk that you're also cutting some muscle.
Right.
Ooh. If you're cutting the right amount of fat, that means you're taking the risk that you could cut some muscle. And nobody, besides Trump, has had the balls to do that. And Trump didn't really have the, the right people around him, the understanding how to do it either way. Brilliant. Shout out to Indie Film with the 633. Indeed, the thing is on. And of course, every single donation comes with a super treat for Morty. Thank you very, very much, sir. And of course, that makes you the new co-sponsor of the stream.
And if you're not willing to take that risk, it means you're not actually going to cut the amount of fat that needs to get cut.
Yeah, let's hear that one more time.
And then for any other in the federal government, it doesn't work. And so whether that's in the bureaucracy in the federal government, or whether it's a rotten bureaucracy even in the private sector or at a university or any other institution, you have to be willing to raise the thing down and then take the risk of cutting not just too much or the right amount of fat. If you're cutting the right amount of fat, it means that you are taking some risk that you're also cutting some muscle.
Right.
Bingo.
And if you're not willing to take that risk, it means you're not actually going to actually cut the amount of fat that needs to get cut.
Thank you again, Andy Pam.
If an 8-headed hydra and you cut off one of its heads, it grows right back. And I think that that's the trap that many, even reform-oriented Republicans have fallen into. I think this is my Ron DeSantis.
Is Trump
contrast as well.
receptive to that
I think
mentality?
so. I think so. Yeah. I mean, we've started. You know, we've gotten to know each other over the course of the campaign, and you know, one of the things I've certainly, based on my experiences so far, I mean, we haven't worked shoulder to shoulder, but he seems like a guy who is, I've been very impressed with, who is open to the correct, smart ideas.
Yeah.
I mean, the other night we spoke about, you know, the dangers of central bank digital currencies, and I was pleased.
Shout out to the Pure Bloods. Pure Bloods in the building. Put a 1 in the chat if you are a Pure Blood. You know they are going for that pure blood semen because they want it. They want it. They want it. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. One's in the building. Let's
A couple
go.
nights later in the speech, there he was.
Jake's got 9 boosters. Jake's got 9 boosters.
The correct, smart ideas.
Yeah.
I mean, the other night we spoke about, you know, the dangers of central bank digital currencies, and I was pleased to see a couple nights later in the speech, there he was, having done the homework and mentioning it. And so I'm optimistic.
That was fun. Did you guys see it when he talked about it? He's like, "Oh wow, you guys know what this is." He like learned about. I think he was talking about Trump. Let's see if I can find that real quick. Trump speech, CBDC. Come on, baby. Come on.
United States presidential candidate and former President Donald Trump has vowed never to allow the Federal Reserve to create a central bank digital currency in the country. The pledge came during a campaign speech in Portsmouth, New Hampshire on January 17th.
As your president, I will never allow the creation of a central bank digital currency. You know about that?
He's like, "Oh, you know what it is."
Currency would give a federal government, our federal government, the absolute control over your money. They could take your money. You would
Fortnite.
Haram.
Come on.
wouldn't even know it was gone. This would be a dangerous threat to freedom.
The declaration was met with rapturous applause. On the same day, former U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission enforcer John Reed Stark said the crypto movement could hold the key to the 2024 presidential election. For all
Not financial advice, but I definitely agree with that. So that's what he's talking about. He was like, I was telling Trump about this, and clearly he had no idea what it was, but that's okay. He doesn't, nobody knows everything about everything. And one of the biggest problems Trump had was having the right people around him and listening to the right people who were around him, or rather not listening to those people. So, hey, again, another reason that we want to have Vivek as close to Trump as possible. Hey, that's okay. Black people are okay here. You're not as good as the browns and the whites. Just kidding.
Actually am quite optimistic. I think the media's portrayal of him, I think, belies the reality that he's actually can be a pretty detail-oriented person. And the media portrays him as a, you know, whatever, something that's totally different than the reality. And so I am encouraged, actually. And it's part of why I endorsed him and part of why I'm fully behind him. If it's not going to be me, the people of this country spoke clearly about that. I'm fully behind him to actually take this America First agenda to that next level where I think it needs to go. And I am so far very encouraged by what I see.
Oh shit! Wrong one. Zippy says, given how digital currency will devolve into hard to track gift cards like money. Oh, I thought you were going somewhere with that. What I thought you were saying, what I thought you were going to say is that given how digital currency will devolve, it's not going to be a something that the government wants to pursue, and that's going to be something that, you know, I wouldn't say crypto is underground, but in terms of, you know, like the Bitcoin market versus the stock market, underground, you know. Brown wears the crown, baby. Dilly to that. Let's go. You trying to look at my asshole, bro?
Haram.
So what are you going to do next? You're just going to
We'll
go
figure
back
it
to your sad, lonely life as a billionaire?
We'll figure it out. It's, most, actually, I think that is the life of most billionaires, as a side note. I know you meant it
True.
sarcastically.
Based.
Especially people who inherit their billionairedom. I think that sad, lonely, and depressed is not always, but often how it goes.
Oh, the poor billionaires. They're so sad. And then just fucking buy some friends. Jesus Christ. Zippy says, I mean, it's not that bad. It would get rid of half the regional price nonsense. How so?
Sad, lonely, and depressed is not always, but often how it goes. My identity isn't tied to my wealth, and so that makes it easier to part with 30 million bucks of it or whatever we spent on this campaign.
$30 million to lose. Now, again, if you're a billionaire, it's like whatevs, but damn, $30 million.
I'm figuring it out. I think I haven't been in a position where I've had a clean slate for a while, and I don't want to squander it by immediately succumbing to my impatient nature, which there's a part of me that's just like, get ready to go all in on the next thing and go.
That's exactly what I wanted to hear. The fact that he naturally does feel like, okay, well, I did that, or I didn't do that. Move on to the next. What are we doing? But the fact that he realizes, okay, that's my natural inclination, but this is a very, very, very good opportunity to, take stock of my life and where am I going to be in 5, 10, 20 years? And hopefully, somewhere powerful in our government to cut it down to nothing.
There's a part of me that's just like, get ready to go all in on the next thing and go. And I think I want to take at least a little bit of time and reflection to figure out what's right. I think that a lot of people are asking about whether I would join government. The answer is maybe, right? It would be
maybe.
It would have to be something that, I think Trump is going to be and should be the next president, but he and I would need to be aligned, both for my sake and his and the country's, most importantly.
That's another good point too, is that having somebody like Vivek next to Trump, who is, number one, in line with what Trump wants, but also not afraid to be like, that's a bad idea. And no, you're wrong about this. I don't think who would be that person who's been around Trump that was willing to push back and also giving him good advice? I don't think there was anybody. And I mean, yeah, there's obviously, I don't know the cabinet backwards and forwards. I'm sure there was people around him, which is why he was the best president we've had in modern history. But again, his biggest flaw was the people that he had around him and either listening to the wrong thing or not listening to the right thing. Keep Vivek around.
He and I would need to be aligned, both for my sake and his and the country's, most importantly. But I think there's a lot of ways to drive change in this country, not just through government, to say the least. I think that driving change in other ways outside of government, in our culture.
Comedy could do it. Have you ever considered overpaying for a news satire website?
You've planted that seed somewhere in there. Interesting.
First it was The Onion, then it was Babylon Bee, then it was whatever Vivek is going to do with his satirical news site. I love it. So Zippy was saying, I mean, it's not that bad. It would get rid of half of the regional price nonsense. No more individual currencies, unified pricing, less duplicated effort in each country. I mean, digital banking is tracked all the same. The fear of a digital currency feels silly because it will devolve into a widespread cash cards that are bought and sold in different locations across the world. Is that not already how fiat currency works? Right? Am I missing something? I feel like that's already an issue of using different currencies. And so maybe that's not going to solve that particular issue, but there's a lot of other issues that it could solve. And I'm certainly not saying we should have a CBDC. I'm just talking about, cryptos in general, having alternative currency. And maybe I'm stupid and I have no idea what I'm talking about, but it sounds like this is already something that happens. There's just other things that they would want the central bank currency for, to be able to track all your shit. Now, again, most of us use, who uses cash that much anymore? But and those are easily tracked, but even still, not as easily tracked as something that's on the blockchain. Which I never understood why a criminal would choose to use Bitcoin for any kind of crime. It's like, bro, like it literally is tracked. At least you can open a credit card in your mom's name or something.
You've planted that seed somewhere in there. Interesting. It's not a native talent of mine. I did do stand-up comedy for a little while in New York City.
Did you?
It was interesting because I don't have it's not like my biggest native talent, but I took a class, and this is back when I was in my mid-20s, and I took a class at was it American Comedy Institute? I don't know if you've heard of it. It's pretty good.
I would love to see some Vivek stand-up. We've already seen Vivek rapping. We've already seen Vivek running for president. All we need now is stand-up comic Vivek.
A lot of comedians actually have
Yeah.
come out of there who are in the stand-up comedy circuit. And it could take somebody who didn't have native talent and still make them like
Pretty
not
funny.
half bad.
Yeah,
I did
yeah.
like 10 shows or so
Yeah.
in the city. And it wasn't like great, but it wasn't like horrific either,
Right.
which was impressive. But I'm gonna probably go somewhere where I think my native talents are strongest. I think God gives each of us our unique gifts. And
All right, guys. So I just dropped the link. I do ask that you cam up. If you are a member and you don't have a camera, then I will make an exception. But I do ask that you cam up. Come on up. Tell me what you think about how Vivek is handling himself since he's dropped out. What do you think this is going to be somebody that we're paying attention to in 4 years? Do you like even what he's saying now? How did you feel about him dropping out? Come up and let me know. Bonzig said, interest is already invisible money created out of nothing. Yep. That's magic. It's magic. So Zippy said, no, fiat is based on the guesstimation of market gambling, government printing, and trade deals between nations. Fiat is just the value of money. You just remove paper and coin money. Right. So again, how does a digital currency make this worse? I understand that it doesn't solve this issue, but how does it make it worse? That's something I'm not really understanding.
our strongest. I think God gives each of us our unique gifts, and if comedy be yours, use it.
Yeah.
And I think God gives each of us our unique gifts, and part of this is going to be a reflection on what are those unique gifts God has given me and how I can use them to do what's right for this country and do what's right in this short time that we're given. And I thought,
Let's go. So again, guys, the link is pinned to the top of the chat, at least in YouTube. Let me drop it on, I don't even know if anybody's watching on Kick. I know we got a couple people over on Rumble. There's whoever is on Instagram. Come on up. Come on up. I have a little something I'll share with you guys if while we're waiting. But
to be the next president. But the beauty of our country is that that choice doesn't belong to me. That belongs to the people of this country.
Yep.
And so if it's not that, at least if it's not that now, then it's up to me to discover what that is and be able to pursue it with the same passion and vigor and commitment that we put into the last year.
Oh, yeah. So Zippy said, oh, no, the digital currency makes a few things better. The only thing you can do is hoard money. You can, however, the only thing you can't do is hoard money. You can, however, hoard jewels and gold and guns. Well, do what you got to do, right? You do what you got to do.
I mean, in vigor and commitment that we put into the last year. I think a lot of people were surprised by the amount of, writing the check and putting the money is one thing, but we went hard, 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. for most of the days of the last year.
Damn. 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. most days. Now, I know some of you be working a lot, but I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. He said the ones that fear digital currency want to horse trade off the grid, which they can still do. It's called the barter system. I actually have a friend, those from the Discord community. Shout out to the Discord. Come and join the free Discord server. Let me drop a link to that as well. It is free to join. Once again, guys, it is free to join the Discord. There are 2 free channels. We have the free chat and the current events channel. A shout out to Darian, always posting a bunch of stuff in there. But if you want to become a channel member, you can get full access to the entire server, including the after party video chat channel. And if you're not on YouTube and you don't want to do all that stuff, just join, send me a DM and we'll figure something out. But yeah, the guy who set everything up in Discord, Biff, that's I mean, not only what he does, but a significant portion of his income is just going to auctions, just like on a Storage Wars. So go to those things and just resell stuff, barter it, whatever he's got to do. So now, mind you, they will not give us any value in changing to digital currency. So there's no point in digital currency since they like breaking things. Oh yeah, I'm definitely against the government having a digital currency. Anything that they can control our money even more easily than they can now? Hell no.
Oh, hell no.
Bonzig said to Zippy, at least with fiat currency, you need raw materials, and there is a process to have a physical item. Well, I mean, there was until we got the Federal Reserve. Exactly. That's how they can make interest like abracadabra, because they literally just money printing machine go burr. That's it. That's it. It's that simple. Guys, we are past the 2-hour mark. I don't know how far we are going to make it with it if nobody comes up, but I do have something else for you. And if you want to keep the party raging, I will find stuff for us to do. You know how to do it.
6 a.m. to 11 p.m. for most of the days of the last year. Actually, that's what most days look like. And I didn't feel exhausted by it, actually, because if you're guided by your actual true sense of purpose, for me, my energy is infinite.
Energizing, yeah.
But if it,
now that I think about that, in the early days when I was doing 5 to 7 hour streams, I'm a relatively introverted person. But even now, I'll do like a 3-hour stream here, and then we go and do 2, 3, 4 hours in the after party. And it does tire me out to a certain extent, but it also doesn't. I get energized by it in certain ways, and certainly it's not the same. Like I would have thought I've been zapped at the end of every stream, and I'm not. I wouldn't mind coming onto the stream, but it's going to be 2 brown guys fawning over another brown guy. Moo needs to get in there and give us some pushback. Moo, where you at? Come through, brother. Come through.
True sense of purpose. For me, my energy is infinite.
Energizing, yeah.
But if it feels even a little bit like it's work,
I'm not doing it.
Or like at a sense of, okay, I'm doing this because I said I would do it and I have a obligation. Like if it's deeper, obligation goes with purpose. Actually, I think your obligation is to follow your purpose. But there's a
let's see that one again.
Said I would do it, and I have a obligation. Like if it's deeper, obligation goes with purpose.
Ooh, deeper obligation goes with purpose. When you have a purpose, you feel that obligation deeper. There's a way. There's a desire to get things done, and when you have a purpose, that intrinsic obligation of not that I have to do this for other people, but the feeling within myself that I feel like I have to do this comes from purpose.
Obligation. Like if it's deeper, obligation goes with purpose. Actually, I think your obligation is to follow your purpose. But there's a lowercase o obligation that's like, okay, you feel like this is my purpose, but I made this obligation to do this other thing. I would sooner tell somebody quit.
Yeah.
Right. Because it's not really a real obligation. It's a fake obligation, because then it feels like you're toiling.
And I don't like the way that it's not a fake obligation. It's just an extrinsic obligation. Unless I'm misunderstanding what he's saying. He's talking about the internal drive that you get, from following your purpose. If that's what he's saying, then I disagree with him that it's not obligation. We definitely have obligations to our jobs. I feel an obligation to you guys to show up here every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, to make sure I am here to do what I promised that I'm going to do. So I don't like that, but you know, just nitpicking. So Zippy is saying, Bonzig, what raw materials coins are made with crap metals and currency is not worth the paper it's printed on? Oh, you're saying that? Okay, so coins are made with crap metals. Currency is not worth the paper it's printed on, and the gold standard as much of a joke. Bro, come on, man. You got like every single one. You make me look stupid. We need to base things on average work. I don't know what that means. How can you have a consumer economy not in line with what worker consumer can consume? Point. So the souls, I've been on the phone with my niece for an hour and a half. That girl is drama, but I love her. In the end, she usually listens to me at least. Not going to try to catch up this late in the stream. Fair enough. Fair enough. There's always the replay. Monzig, so the digital currency is the Fed trying to get cryptocurrencies to pay taxes.
Bingo.
Yep. Yeah, that's not. Yeah, that's. I don't think that's arguable at all.
It's not really a real obligation. It's a fake obligation because then it feels like you're toiling. And once you're feeling like you're toiling, then that's the ball game.
Right.
And so I want to be careful not to put myself in that position. And whatever it is, inside or outside government, it's going to be because I believe that that is what my God-given purpose is. And whatever, as long as we find that, I will work tirelessly on that as well.
Yeah, guys, just go ahead and watch videos right now.
We have over the last year to, you know, make whatever small difference we can.
Appreciate your time today. Thank you for coming out. It was
Thank
great.
you.
Great
Thank
to
you
talk
for
to
having
you.
me, man. And to everyone
All
else,
right. Hey,
come again.
thank you. Come again. Let's do that one more time. I messed that up. Oh, ow.
It was
Thank
great.
you.
Great
Thank
to
you for
talk to
having me, man. And to everyone at home, thank you. Come again.
Love it. So I did not expect us to get through that so quickly. And a bunch of you did see this already, but from a previous stream, I think you know, especially as we're talking about what is the at least temporary legacy of Vivek Ramaswamy, the like what did he do here? I think this is a you know, a good I'll just go full boom. Some of you will remember this.
What is your stance on LGBTQ?
What is your stance on LGBTQ? Cool. Leave kids out of it. On point. 100% of the time. Catch him off guard. You can't. Nope.
All right, sit across the table from Xi Jinping. Give me the hard questions.
LGBTQ.
What's up?
You heard me.
I actually did.
LGBTQ.
LGBTQ.
Yep, what about it?
Yeah, you just said
Oh, and I just noticed the haircut. Okay.
there was transgender.
Yeah, so
What about transgenders?
how about this? I give you the mic, and we hear what you have to say. And then I'm going to answer you, and you'll hear what I have to say, what everybody else here has to say. Does that sound like a good deal?
I don't need the mic.
Yes.
I can speak louder.
Already just being argumentative. I don't need the mic. Bitch, just shut up and take your win.
Stand up, tell me your name, and state your question.
My name's Alexis Case, and I grew up here
Okay?
in this town.
He's like, okay. Wow. Oh, she really said that like it was an accomplishment. Okay, all right.
LGBTQ is a serious situation in this world today. There are children that get bullied because they are gay, they are lesbian, they are transgender. I don't need that.
Many film said, "What a transfer of this woman is. What a transfer of this woman is. She forgot about the QULAL. What?
What?
Welcome to have it if you want.
I don't need
You
it.
get to ask your question, but after that, you're going to hear me give my answer. So I'll let you
Get
finish.
in. Get 'em.
What is your stance on LGBTQ.
What is your stance on LGBTQ? Cool. Leave the kids out of it.
Good. Thank you for your question. I'm going to answer it. I'm going to go into a level of depth that I don't usually go into on a campaign trail, but I'm going to do it because you asked the question. You deserve
All
an
right.
answer.
Shout out to Ayush. Let's get into it.
LGBTQIA. There's so many letters. They've just added a plus at the end. That's where we are now. What's going on?
So this isn't confusing for you guys, right? Obviously, this is me down in the corner here, and that's the video we were talking about. So anyone said this woman is a transphobe because she forgot about the 20 more letters and a plus sign. There you go. There you go.
So the same movement, because if we're going to call that one thing, let's play it fair. The same movement that said that the sex of the person you're attracted to is hardwired on the day you're born. That was the premise of the gay rights movement, for it to count as a civil right.
Yep.
That movement
As
is
it
now
should be.
saying that your own biological sex is totally fluid over the course of your life. You can't believe both those things. Well, I think I'm going to get to a deeper say. That's where I was about a year or two ago, but I think there's something deeper going on.
Oh, and of course, she's already mad. She's already mad. Guys, we are coming up on the 2.5 hour mark. We have plenty of.
And by the way, let's think about the women's rights movement in this country. We said there's many ways to be a woman. You can have long hair, short hair. You can wear a skirt. You can wear
my own
jeans.
sound.
Now it says that, oh, if actually you want to behave a certain way, that means you're a man. So I think that the hypocrisies go all the way down. And I'll tell you what's going on. You can't believe both of those things at the same time if you're operating according to principles of sheer logic.
Yep.
But you can if you're
In case you missed that, you can't subscribe to that if you are using logic. You can't subscribe to these ideas if you are not using logic. You can't, bro. You can't.
according to principles of both of those things at the same time if you're operating according to principles of sheer logic.
If you're operating on the principles of logic, you cannot believe what the LGBTQ plus whatever wants you to believe. Hey, shout out to Guam Tech, and Morty already knows with the $5 super chat said brown crown, baby. Eat it. There you go. There you go. There you go. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, sir. And of course, I gotta do where are we at? Where are we at? Better, not a member, but so close and very, very, very much appreciate. You guys know how hard I fucking work at this shit. And when you guys, even just show up, when you guys are part of the chat, and especially when you guys part with your hard-earned money, like that means a lot, guys. Thank you so much.
But you can if you're adopting a faith, a cult-like belief system.
And what was he just talking about with Seth Dillon? That we can apply this protected class thing to political affiliation if we see and understand and acknowledge that wokeness is indeed a religion. So this all said, I feel like we entered Inception territory. That lady makes it a nightmare, though. I can't pretend not. She's horrible. She's horrible. A what? Did he just make the point that I make all the fucking time that it's the same thing on either side? Let me.
A faith.
A what?
But you can if you're adopting.
I'm such a dick.
A faith.
One more time, because just I want to be fair to everybody.
A faith.
Okay, it's a faith. It is dogma. Why is
a cult-like belief system. So this is controversial for me to say, but I'm going to tell you what I think.
She about to cry? Maybe she might. She might cry. But before we get there, let's welcome our boy, Guam Tech. Welcome to the party, brother. Good to see you. How are you doing?
Doing pretty damn good, my brown brother.
Brown Kings, let's go. What are you thinking about all of this?
I obviously think it's freaking great. I mean, it's Vivek, man. Like, of course, and that's why I said what I said in the comments is like, I'm just going to come on here and gush with you a little bit about it. I mean, everything I heard in that interview was freaking awesome. I hope he freaking put some money in on the Babylon Bee, because I mean, I feel like that's right up his alley right now. But I guess I can go ahead and ask you, and you asked this earlier, what do you think is going to be the next move for him?
So I like the. I think it's just well, number one, it depends on what Trump wants. So if I think that if Trump is asking for a VP, Secretary of Defense, something like that, you can't turn that down if you want to be in politics in the future. If you want, especially if you want to be running a 2028, you can't just be in the private sector unless you really ramp up and become that content creator guy who has the access, who has been through the race and all that stuff. I think he could do that, but either way, it depends on what he is looking for. And if he is looking to run in 2028, then he has to stay politically relevant, whatever that means.
Right. And I really do see, like, I mean, they're obviously both business people. They're trying to work deals all the time. If I'm to say it, like, I honestly think that's why things like internationally ended up working out so well with us when we were under Trump, is because he was freaking flipping deals all over the place, man.
Yeah.
Like, that's probably how he got Putin to like back down on some shit. He's like, whoa, what? Like, you're gonna give me what for just chilling the fuck out? Okay, like,
yeah,
nobody's ever offered that. Oh wait, you also said you'll nuke us? Oh well, I guess you're not only gonna give us like something good.
And especially as somebody who was a never Trumper in the beginning, and maybe like the first halfish of his term, it made me so frustrated that so many people were saying, well, like, he's a great businessman. I'm like, okay, but politics is not business. And what I learned over that time is, yes, I'm correct that business is not politics, but there's a lot of overlap in leadership. And that's what I missed, is that like, oh, he's a CEO for this, da, da, da. And, I was listening to like, oh, he had like 6 bankruptcies with like 75 different companies or something like that. And it's like the way that they frame. This was a time when I was listening to like Occupy Democrats. I don't know if you're familiar with that page, but the worst low tier leftist propaganda, and just orange man bad, orange man bad, orange man bad. And exactly like you're saying, I think that we've seen that that business mentality maybe doesn't perfectly overlap and doesn't perfectly set you up to be a politician, but it sure as shit gives you a head start.
And one thing that I think that people forget about like business in general and sales, all of that, is most of this is run off of knowing people, or at least being people oriented enough to be able to get something out of it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you got to work out deals all the time. You got to make sure to run the numbers and make sure everything makes sense for everybody and whatnot, because nobody's going to do business with somebody who is just like in it all for themselves. Mm-hmm. And if I'm going to say something about that, as far as business goes, I think America has really lost its ability to run itself like a business, or even make money like a business. And that's why we're seeing so many damn problems when it comes to things like the economy and everything. I mean, we're just going trillions of dollars in debt every year. We're giving away money to countries, whether or not you think that, we need to give that money. Like, why aren't we helping Americans? Like, why aren't we doing this shit to get the business of America going? And the one thing that Trump, and I would say possibly Vivek, I haven't really looked too far into his business stuff, but businessmen in general in the White House, they're not, what Trump was really good with was he marketed his name. The Trump name was what made money. Now he's using the American name. And I feel like Vivek is going to definitely be on track with that as well. If we could get him in for a vice president or some kind of, something in the cabinet with Trump, that's going to give him obviously the experience that he needs as far as politics go. And he's going to actually use America's name to make some fucking deals for us happening. Like, that's really what I want to see happen.
I said, shit, me too. We got an interesting question here from Bonzig. Said, do you think Vivek stays Republican or goes independent for 2028? I'll throw it to you first. What do you think?
I would say two options there. Option A, he gets in with Trump. If that's the case, he's staying Republican. He needs to run on the ticket that he ended up getting in with. He doesn't want to turn his back on the people that got him in there. He already has done it. And, you know, I think it's a good idea for him to do it so that he turns back that Republican and conservative mentality back to America First mentality.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to say if he didn't, that he would run as an independent, but man, there's just so many things going on this year. Like, if there's
it's only January,
right? If the independent vote gets any kind of headwind this year, I would say going independent might be a good idea, simply because we're actually seeing a little bit of movement on that side, and he might be the person to be able to capitalize on it. But
so maybe that, like, he could be somebody who kind of sets the precedent in modern politics that, you know, that a third party is a reasonable option.
Right.
Like, as of right now, nobody looks at anything but D or R. That's it. Like, we understand that there's a libertarian party. We understand that people run independent, but nobody has any faith in any of those candidates actually winning. You know?
Yeah. And it's like a freaking crazy chemical cocktail going on right now as far as politics go, because, like, okay, let's say Trump doesn't get in. What do we have? Haley, Biden, and then maybe RFK, maybe. Yeah. And I don't think that RFK is going to win if that's the case. I just think, though, that he might be able to make enough of a movement with the third party candidates to where the next go around, if there's a next go around, that we end up seeing people finally just being done with it. Like, if they only have Haley and Biden to choose from, people are going to be pissed. And I hope that just stays with people. They remember that anger and they finally fucking move in another direction.
Hopefully. Shout out to Dietrich. Welcome to the party. Coming in hot, reminding me about my goddamn Hillary vote. What does Dietrich say? If it didn't hurt his credibility, I would love to see Vivek run as a Democrat. And once he has the vote, he tells everyone, okay, now that bullshit is out of the way, let's get things done. I don't know, though. Like, Bonzig is saying he'd win as a Democrat. I don't think he would. Like, he's just been too America First so far that, like, it would be so easy to just pull up any clip from the past year and just be like, look what he was saying in 2023, 2024. So I don't think he would win as a Democrat.
And not only that, I don't think that he would run as a Democrat, because just what the Democrats stand for right now, not historically, but right now.
Right. Is exactly what he's against.
Yeah, like, that's so much. He's literally going to be rolling a boulder, a fucking train, and a goddamn slab of a building uphill just to run as a Democrat.
Right. Yeah. It makes infinitely more sense for him to run independent if he's not going to run Republican than Democrat.
Yeah.
So the soul here says, I don't think we're at a point to separate America First into its own party yet. Maybe one day, a term or two down the road. Yeah, I agree with that. I think that there is that civil war in the Republican Party of the GOP rhinos and the America First MAGA people. But especially post-Trump, we have to see how well MAGA and America First meshes into each other. I don't see a reason why it wouldn't. And I'm sure that there are some MAGA people who in 28 would go back to GOP rhino candidates. But I think for the most part, it would make sense that they form into one caucus, and then through Congress elections and even local stuff, that what it means to be Republican, which is again what when David was here the other night and it just didn't understand. I think it was him and maybe Ian, or if it was Mood, but two of our our household liberals, they just didn't understand how much we all hate the Republican Party. Like it just doesn't compute, because they're like, oh, well, you vote Republican, so you must love everything Republican. It's like, no, do you love everything Democrat? Of course not. Of course not. So I think the best strategy is to fight the uniparty using the current party system we have. Right. Yeah. And there's just too much going on right now.
And that right there, that says it, man. Like, I do not see this year being Democrat versus Republican. I don't see a conservative versus liberal, any of that bullshit. This is establishment uniparty versus America first.
Bingo.
Anyone who doesn't see it that way, they're freaking wrapped up in it, man. Like they are just drinking the Kool-Aid and swimming in it. Like, people have got to realize there's a reason why all this shit is going on. Like, we got the border shit going on. We got multiple wars going on. We got the economy going into shit. We got fucking politicians being charged and being fucking like just taken to town right now.
Mhm.
And the whole reason is because the machine, the uniparty, all of it is fucking scared
Of one little wrench in the gears. Now, I mean, we, as big of a personality as Trump is, he's still just one man. And yet, so the soul's giving you a preach. Let's give a dilly dilly to Guam Tech.
It really is, man. Like, the shit's like driving me crazy, honestly, personally, because I just look at it and I'm like, how can we sit here and be so just drawn into one party or the other? That goes for Republicans too. Like, how do people not see what the fuck is being fought against right now?
Because they don't want to. It's so easy to just let other people tell you what's going on. And even people like us who are into this stuff, and whether you watch a show or do a show 3 times a week, like, there's still a lot that I don't necessarily know, that like, I think maybe whatever. And so it's too easy. It's too easy to just sit back and be like, okay, I lean this way, so I'm just going to go with those people. Or I lean this way, so I'm going to go with those people. It's just too easy. Too easy.
And this is why I really hoped that maybe Mood or even David, I don't think I saw him in the chat or anything, but I would love for them to come up and give some pushback, because I want to know what the average, I guess, Democrat would have a problem with someone like Vivek. I want to know these things so that I can have these kind of conversations.
So maybe we'll fold that in, because I already have a tentative plan with David to I think you heard me talking about it, where we're gonna watch a Biden speech and then a Trump speech, and kind of just be like, what do you see when you're seeing this? Because clearly you don't see the same thing I see. And so maybe we'll throw maybe we'll throw this one in there and just be like, what are you thinking? That's a good idea. A good idea, bro. I love it. I love it.
And Mood, if you're watching right now, dude, get on here. Do it. Like, just give us some pushback. We need your reflection on us. Put on a mask. I don't know. Use a weird voice modulator. Do something. Just get on here. Tell us where we're wrong. We need to know.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is that, yes, we feel very strongly about the opinions that we have. But we are literally begging you to show us where we might be wrong. And I don't know what else. I don't know what else to do besides literally beg for you to show me where I'm wrong. And I think all of us have been doing that since day one. So shout out to you. Any last words for the people?
You're all beautiful bastards.
Beautiful bastards. Love it. Love it. Love it. Thank you so much. And I will see you in the after party. Peace. Beautiful. Beautiful. So that's, that's where we're at. That's where we're at. Is we're at an inflection point. Is that the right use of that word? But we're at a crossroads where things can go very many different ways. This is precisely why over the last 6 months, I've been saying, hey, we need to pay attention to this, and this, because a bunch of shit's going to change. And we need to be aware of, okay, now that this has changed, now that, and think how quickly everything happened. that Trump won Iowa. Christie and Vivek dropped out. Then DeSantis dropped out. All of this is happening so quickly. As we were just talking about, 2024, it's still only fucking January. It's still only January. And it's only gonna get crazier. So if we don't have a basis in reality of this is my position, this is where I stand, then that's what they want. You're gonna get lost in the sauce. I'm not. And as long as you stay here, you're not either. So the soul said it goes for all of us. I feel it is akin to religion in a sense. Just because you're sitting next to a Christian in the same church doesn't mean you have the same idea of God. I wonder where you got that idea from. If you haven't heard it before, to all my Christian friends, on Sunday, when I know you're going to be walking into a church, because that's what Christians do. When you walk into the church, think to yourself, ask yourself the question, what is God? And let yourself figure out whatever articulated answer that you want. And then keep that in your head. Then you go sit down in the pew, turn to the person to your left and say, what is God? I guarantee you're going to get a different answer than you had in your head. And not only that, but then you look over to the person on your right and ask the same thing, and you will get yet a third different answer. Just like Soil the Soul is saying, it's different, even though we're using the same words. And at least in politics, we understand that, okay, the word conservative is a more of an umbrella term, and this, that. Christian is too, and people do not use it that way. Bonzig said, Vivek is a great mentor for youth entrepreneurship. Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I have zero negative things to say about the man. I have zero negative things to say, which I don't like, because I would like to have some check on my credibility that, like, for all you guys know, I'm just simping for the brown man. For all you guys know, I'm a lefty who only cares about identity politics, and the fact that he's an Indian brown man, I'm just gonna be like, yeah, I love that. You don't know. I wish I had something to be like, oh, that's where I disagree. But I just don't. Yeah, he's got well-balanced policies and a like I said before, a sharp tongue, in the sense that he knows how to cut through the rhetoric, the bullshit, the semantic obfuscation to make his point and to put you on put you on the, I don't want to say defensive, but put you in the position where you're the one who has to defend these amorphous terms that appeared only in the last 5 to 10 years. Well, I do. Well, I mean, an orange man. I don't know about men, but yeah, something tells me it isn't about color. It's not. And unfortunately, too much of the country, it really, 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 really is about color. We know. It's been tested that white liberal women are the most likely to dumb down their language when speaking to someone of a different race. White liberal women will talk like a second grader just because the person is black. They are the racists. All of this is the biggest projection that could exist. Orange is just a lighter shade of brown. Oh, looky who we got back for more. Our boy. Welcome back. It's been a while. I missed you.
Yeah. I have one last question.
Mm-hmm.
Who has the better hair right now? Orange man or brown man? Don't tell me you don't see that swoop. You don't see that swoop coming in. That ain't a natural hairstyle. He's doing that. He's doing that for a reason.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It goes over and then it flips back. But that's why I want to abstain, because they both have awful, terrible hair. But that seems to be part of the litmus test. If you, because Javier Malay also has some weird. He has like the emo hair. It might be a sign. If you have terrible hair, you might be a great politician. So I would be a terrible politician. But between Vivek and Trump, I don't know if I can answer that. If I had to pick, I would say Trump. I mean, I think you know, especially as like the Indian American, I see weird configurations and shit. But whatever's going on with Trump, it's like, what are you doing? I saw a picture of somebody photoshopped his hair out and made his skin like just a normal shade of white. It was weird. It was weird. He yeah. Well, I mean, when before he got the what do you call them, the transplants or whatever it was, yeah, he had terrible hair. He had terrible hair. So there you go. That might be the litmus test. If you have good hair, you're not a good politician.
I just bring it up.
Joy to steal it is crazy. Oh my god. Oh my god.
No.
Dilly to that.
I only bring it up, man, just because like I've been noticing it a lot. I'm like, Vivek is doing things where it's like you see him and he's making an image. He is making sure you remember him. So that's the only reason I ask.
Is that it? It's like, okay, I'm going to purposely make my hair look stupid so that everybody remember. Hey, it worked for Destiny. It worked for Destiny.
It worked for Trump. And that's why I even brought up the bomber jacket that he wears and stuff. Because if you looked at any of his was that when he was out in Iowa and stuff, like every single place that he went to, he was wearing that jacket. So I'm saying, I really think like he's just trying to put that image in people's heads, and just like, you cannot forget this. I'm the guy with that jacket and that hair, and I'm brown.
Hey,
so like,
there's a reason I wear the same shirt every single stream. And if you think I wash it between each one, you crazy. But gang, thank you so much for that question. That was a something I've wanted to talk about, and so thank you for bringing it up. But yeah, I will see you over in the after party. You have a good one. All right, guys. So yeah, I think as far as Vivek Ramaswamy, I think we are in the position of wanting to keep this man in the public eye. I think this is somebody who we can, as far as politicians go, we can trust in terms of what do they stand for, and what do, again, the idea that a politician cares about you. Vivek does not care about you any more than Hillary or Nikki or Trump or any of them. They do not know you. They do not give a fuck about you. They care about the country to some extent, but you are just a tiny piece of that. And if you died, it would not affect their lives at all. Once you can understand that, then you're like, okay, now I see how to navigate this. And, you know, like I said, it was very clear from the beginning that, you know, he wasn't going to be the president, but I think he did an amazing job of adding a lot of stuff to the conversation that needed to be discussed. And I think he's going to continue doing so. So as for me, I don't know about you guys, but as for me, I am ready to cast a vote for Vivek 2028. Yeah, I mean, it's you know, there's like I've been saying about 2024. There's a lot that can happen between now and then, and we started talking about this 6 months ago. So a lot can still conspire. But the point is that now we have a base point, a foundation, an understanding that as of what the fuck is the date? As of January 29th, 2024, we have broken down where is Trump at, where is Vivek at, what is the Babylon Bee doing, what do we want for politics, should we be looking at politicians' hair? We've figured out all of these things. All we need to do is continue to apply them and continue to stay relevant with what's going on, and we'll be set. We will be set. Let's close it out with Soil the Souls. And he did this last year, what DeSantis could have done in 28, but ruined it for himself. Yup. Oh, DeSantis. Oh, DeSantis. I think he could make a comeback. Not for president, but I mean, I think if he just goes, I think if he just goes back to Florida, it continues to be a good governor, continues to fight wokeness as a governor, I think in 4 years, maybe he could bring on a new team and have an entirely different campaign. I can definitely see a DeSantis campaign that would work. This one just wasn't it. So thank you so much, guys. I really, really, really do appreciate you hanging out with me as always. And let's shout out our comment of the night from Culture Pop with B-Hop. That if someone asks me what my religion is, I just say American. George Washington Orthodox. There we go. That is what it's about. Connection, unity, not division. We are all the same group. We are all in the same group. Let's also shout out Zippy the Strange with the gifted membership. Thank you very much. We also had our boy Guam Tech not only joining the stream, but opening his pockets and helping out your boy. Thank you, sir. And of course, our sponsor of the stream, Indie Film. Thank you so much. Let's do this. End of the show. We'll get Morty another treat every single time that you guys donate. Thank you so much. Again, guys, I hope you enjoyed this. I really, 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 really did. And I think this was, even though this was a little bit more low key, I think this was an important show. So thank you very much for being here with me. And I hope this helps us collectively moving forward. So if you are a part of the Discord, we are headed to the after party. We are still raging. For the rest of you, thank you so much. Once again, this is Morty, and I have been your host, Lutch, aka the Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. Hit that like if you haven't already. But until next time, guys, I am out of here. Peace.